And happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. How you doing, guys? It's a pleasure to be with you again. It's me, Mark, and I'm here with Daryl. Daryl, what's happening?
Hello, Mark. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Indeed. We have a great night here. It's clearing up now. I want to say hi to Tim F., who was first. Yahoo! Woohoo! And to Andy Morrow, who just dropped in, and Justin, who's here. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for dropping in. I don't know how many people will get tonight, but you know what? It's a clear night, and I'm streaming. Now, we're still in Connecticut at the moment, but that's going to change. Today was the first night in history that the observatory was started. Everything started in the telescope from inside. I started up the power, I started up the telescope and the computer system, and the only thing I still have to do is manually open the dome because I'm not using a dome in Arizona. It's going to be a roll-off roof, and that circuit I've already got done. So I just need to get my roll-off roof building built out there on the concrete pad. That still has to be made. However, if any of you have looked at the GoFundMe of late, we had a $7,500 cap on it, and we are up to $2,590 so far raised for the Arizona Observatory. Yeah, and that's money that's meant just for the Arizona presence. That's it. Now, if we can get enough, then I can actually make a second observatory out there and have one on the west coast and one on the east coast. And we can actually run the east coast one when it first gets dark and cut over to the west coast one when it's dark out there. 3 hour, 2 hour difference. 3 or 2 depending on time of year. So, pretty cool. And Justin, you don't have to thank me for streaming, but thank you for that thought. I appreciate it. I love to do this. I love talking about astronomy, guys. What can I say? Hey, Ronald, happy Thanksgiving to you, too. And to all of you, and Daryl said it already, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. We're currently looking, by the way, at the region of the Gamma Cassiopeia Nebula. So, let's go actually take a picture. And we're going to take... I'm going to take a 20-second shot here. You can see the times over here and the ISO, and we're going to go to 25.6 to try and get a little brighter, So here we go. Let's give it a shot. Off we go. And where is this? Well, currently it's literally almost directly overhead. If we look at our if we look at our lines here, you can see that the Andromeda Galaxy is almost directly overhead. And if you twist my arm, maybe I'll go there. If you want to see it, I'll show you. But, you gotta, be nice to me. No, you don't. I'm going to go there anyway, and you know that. Anyway, let's go check out this image that we just got. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here we are. If you can see it, here's the Gamma Cass Nebula. It's
Gamma Cass is the one in the middle of the crooked W shape.
That's correct. That's right.
If I remember correctly.
You are correct. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah. Do right there, and here's the W. Okay. And we're focusing on this spot right here in the middle. Okay. So we actually have this part of the nebula that we're looking at right now. And so we should be able to zoom in on this a little bit more. Hey, weird guy, what's going on? Oh, no, I'm not on a tryptophan coma. I don't eat a lot of meat, so, you know, you get lucky, see? You get lucky. Now, the interesting thing is we are using the new filter, and I'm going to be trying a few other little techniques here. Here's an instant process. You can see a little better. Okay, but we're gonna do better than that. Hey, Nancy W, how you doing? Good to see you. Marianne, how are you? Oh, you aren't gonna tase me, woman. Yeah, Marianne, out there. Hey, I'm brave from 2,500 miles away. But we're doing the stream because Marianne asked us to do the stream, so you can blame her for tonight. So here, this little tiny star, these are cool stars I want to show you. Here's a little red star, okay? And then if we move a little further down here, you see another red star. These are those little red dwarfs that we see. There's one here, okay? These red dwarfs are the most prominent, and I should say not prominent, but the most prevalent star in the entire galaxy. Right near the Gamma Cass Nebula, there's one right here, there's one right here. If you look carefully in this image, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. You can just count them. I bet there's around 60 red dwarfs in this image, okay, overall. And none of them you can see with your eye. They're all so faint. They're literally sometimes just a few hundredths of the brightness of the sun. And that's amazing that they can show the way they do. Hey, Jacob, how are you? Welcome. And Jacob, I want to thank you for the questions on SkyTour Radio that you asked. That was actually quite good. Thank you. I didn't forget. See? So, yeah, this is in Gamma Cass. There's some details that we could fish out of here if we want to. But I want to show you also some other things as well. Since the moon is already set, so what I'd like to do is take us to a couple different spots. When I get my computer back here, it seems that it's my connection is faltering for a moment. It's very good for you guys, but not for me. Okay, there we go. Should be back now. There we are, yeah. So, and those are the kinds of things that you fish out of the weeds and you try and figure it out later, you know. So as we back out of Cassiopeia here, we see that there's a number of other objects here. I particularly like this little cluster because it's really pretty. So we're going to check it out. We're going to go here. It's in the vicinity of the dragonfly cluster. You can see the telescope moving here. You can also see it in the view with the... Let me just bring it up again. Okay, we're going to bring this up. There we go. I don't know why it closed down on me, but it did. So you can see where the telescope's pointing right here, which is kind of cool. And let's move this over here. Get it a little bit more out of the way. There we are. Okay, so telescope's there. And we're right here. And now, let's take a look. Let's do a little bit of a shot of this. Let's do this. Let's say... we don't have to go that deep with this. Let's go only... let's go down to 6400 for 15 seconds and check it out. First, let's let's do our jog here. Okay, we're gonna pull it back, and let me go one here. do 4. Okay. Let's see what we got now. Okay. Let me pull this back. Let me move this down too, because I want this to be... No, I don't want that there. What's going on here? Oh, I know what happened. Little housekeeping, not a problem. Okay, here we go. All right, so now we're there. And now let's take a 15-second at 6400 shot of this little cluster. Oh, thank you, Ronald. Ronald just put up the link to the GoFundMe for SkyTour LiveStream. I debated for a long time. Look at that. That's beautiful. I debated for a long time about whether I was going to actually do a GoFundMe for SkyTour LiveStream. Didn't want to, but really ended up feeling like it was probably one of the good ways to go here, you know. Hey, Tom Brown. No UFOs yet, buddy, but we have hope. This is the Dragonfly cluster that we're seeing here. It's really pretty. You can see these gorgeous stars, and again, the ever-present red dwarfs that you see now and then. These red dwarfs are probably field stars. This particular one right here, okay, it's very red, and the reason it's red is either one of two things. Either it's a hot pixel and a camera error, or it's actually there. So why don't we test that? If it's this red, then we know what kind of star it might be. It might be a different type of star. We've seen this before. And it's a star that starts with the letter C. Who knows what that is? Not you, Daryl. Because I know you know.
I don't count.
No, you know what they are.
Second letter A.
No, letter C. And while we're waiting for that, if anyone has it, go ahead and put that in. We're looking at this very, very red star. This is the characteristic of these stars that are extremely red. What is the name of those stars? We've looked at them before. I don't expect anyone to remember, but if you do, boy oh boy, I'll be so proud of you. All right, first of all, let's test this again. Now I'm going to go to 8,000 and do a 15-second exposure. Good try, Tom. No, Ceres is an asteroid, but or actually a dwarf planet. I'll tell you, because I don't think that. No, nice try there, Tom. These are stars that have mostly a particular element on their surfaces, and as you can see, it's really there. Okay, so there it is. Hey, James, how you doing? We had Thanksgiving here, and we had an Australian woman here with us from whose parents were actually born in Portugal, but she though was born and raised in Australia, in Melbourne, down in Melbourne. So she's wonderful. And hey, you ready for this, James? And James will understand this. James, tonight I had the most delectable biscuits called Tim Tams. I had the chocolate ones, I had the chocolate caramel filled ones, and we had the mint ones. Do you know what I'm talking about, James? And I guarantee you he's going to say, oh my gosh, Tim Tams. I have them all over the house. I buy bags and bags of Tim Tams. I'm guessing. So we'll see. We'll see once he gets through. Yeah, but here we go. This red star, okay, I'll tell you what it is because I don't expect that you'll remember, and that's fine, of course. A beautiful cluster. Isn't this gorgeous?
It is.
Yeah, but
May I take a wild-ass guess first?
You may, of course.
Well, I said second letter A, and you said no, it's not a carbon star?
I didn't. Yes, it is. I didn't. I thought you said the first letter was A. My mistake. Yes, it is. It was. These are carbon stars when they're very red like this. Different from like these M-class dwarfs here. They're very, very red. Okay, and that's because there's a lot of carbon in their atmospheres that gets dredged up from inside. It's a late stage. The stars are pretty big. All right. And this happens to them when they get to a certain point in their evolution. Okay, but it's really something, you know. So that said, I'm pretty sure that now that you know that these red stars are everywhere in the universe, in fact, more of them than any other type of star, you're going to be on the lookout, and you're going to look at the stars, and you're going to say, hey, I'm seeing some star color here. Is that possibly an M-class dwarf? Is that possibly an M dwarf? Is that possibly an M dwarf? And wherever you look, you'll see stars that have this red look to them. And sometimes you'll see a very, very red star. Yeah, see, James, Tim Tams. That's right. I ate way too many of those things. And I did it the right way, by the way. I bit the one corner, flipped it around, bit the other corner, and then you're supposed to actually then suck up milk or something through the hollow center and get like chocolate milk or something. I didn't do that because that felt a little weird to me. Actually, the truth is, I tried to do it first, and I kind of inhaled some of the biscuit, so that wasn't good. And of course, Christina, the Australian woman, just laughed her butt off at me. What can I say? Anyway, the other thing I learned tonight was that Uluru, Ayers Rock in Australia, you can no longer climb it. You can no longer go up. And that was on my bucket list to do someday. It's kind of sad. I thought that would be nice. Maybe, because I have Native American heritage, I was wondering if maybe I'll talk to some of the Aboriginal groups down there and see if I can do it. But I think they lost their contract, or the contract was up. So not being able to make money is sad. I'm glad I know how to see. I will try it the right way, James. I promise. I have several containers full of them upstairs right now. It's just so nice. Holy cow. Yeah, that's a little image processing. This is less. You can actually see many more stars in here. Let me see if I can bring that out a little bit. I want to show you. I'm gonna raise the levels, the background levels in this, just so you can see a little more. How about now? Oh, look at that, huh? This is what it was before. This is what it is now. You can see so many more stars in here. Okay, this is a really, really star-rich region. And this cluster has so many stars in it. Just so... I don't know. I mean, if you look at it, it just has this weird appeal to me because it has varied brightnesses of stars, which I really enjoy. So, let's see if we go back now to our main view. And maybe... I had to align the telescope again tonight. I had something go wrong out there. And I tried to do it long distance, basically from inside. And so that it didn't work, so I have to work out a way to do that. Hang on, I'm just going to take off my sweatshirt because it's winter here. And after I get the sweatshirt off, I'll get right back to you. Hold on. Yeah, I'm just putting it to the side here. All right, here we go. All right, let's see.
Hey,
yeah.
Mark, could I ask a little favor?
Sure.
Could you turn down the music just a hair? It's kind of stepping on you. I can't hear you very well.
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right. Well, maybe I can also turn me up a little bit more like this. Is that any better? Is this better?
Seems to be, yes. Thank you.
All right, good. Cool.
Am I coming in okay, everybody? No echo tonight?
No, you won't have an echo.
Echo.
Nah, no echo.
Oh, I kind of like that. Okay.
I know, you had that. It gave you that. It satisfied your need to be a god, of astronomy, That's okay.
Sunday.
That's right. Yeah, you can't do that anymore, can you? Hardy har. Yeah, okay, let's see. So we're just playing around now with this cluster. I'm going to go check out this gem. This is, I don't know, by far, it's one of the favorites of most people in the sky. And for those who don't know this view here, wait a minute, let me get this better. Do this here. There we go. This view is actually the view of the telescope. And it's on that angle. So this is how we're going to see it. This is be up and down, this will be left and right. Okay? And sometimes the telescope will flip it vertical, the image, okay? And I know how to rotate it to the right instantly, to the right location, so you see it the right way. But here's a double cluster, and we're going to go check this out now. On the left side, this is the live view. You'll actually watch the stars move as we move the telescope. So we're moving now to the double cluster, all right? And watch on the left, you'll see the stars zip around as we move here. Okay, there we go. Now we're moving just a little bit over, and then over on the right, you'll see the telescope, the scope indicator show up here. It gets into the middle, then it moves off, okay, but it doesn't move the telescope. As you can see, the telescope is still where it belongs, but this it knows where it belongs. It knows where it is. So if we come now over to our whole view here, what we can do is now, if I were to take a picture, if we go in the 4K mode here, all right, you'll actually be able to see that when I go up in the brightness here. All right, this is a live view of the sky. Okay, that's beautiful, isn't it? That's just stunning, you know. And so what we can do is we can move that just a little bit. We're gonna move a little bit more like this. That's a live view. Isn't that great though? And you can actually see the stars in such detail and just move them at whim. I like that. That's what's called
That is nice.
virtual astronomy. I love it. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. Now we shut off the. We shut that off, and now we'll take a picture. Let's not go that high. 102 4000. 102K ISO is too high. But for the double cluster, we only need to go to like, well, we can do 8,000 for just a few seconds, and we can try that. You can see how these ISOs work. Let's go 6 seconds for 8 and at ISO, sensitivity of the camera at 8,000. All right, so here we go. Justin, I am sure you're the great Cornholio. And I know you need TP, but I'm not going to tell you where you need it. Excuse me. Nice, yeah. So this is what 8,000 does. 8,000 lets us see at 6 seconds. 8,000 lets us see this the way that our eyes would if we looked in the telescope. So this is exactly how it would look to our eyes. Now, a little processing shows a little brighter, and you can see a little bit more of the stars. A little bit brighter, and this is what aperture does for you. If you have a bigger telescope with a more than a 10-inch aperture like we have, then the stars might look like this to your eye. It's a matter of the aperture, okay? Otherwise they might look a little bit like this, but this is how I like them. So that said, this is the beautiful double cluster, and of course, as before, look around. Right there, right here, right there, right there, and right there, right there. I mean, they're everywhere. Even there, and here, and here. More red dwarf stars. And there's one right there. Now these two clusters are young. These red dwarfs are a different type of star. So there may not be a correlation between these stars and the cluster. These are young hot stars, and these are stars that are not hot. They're actually very cool stars. So it's possible that these are foreground or background stars to the cluster. They're not in the cluster. In fact, that's very likely. So it's pretty interesting. Again, up here is another very bright, a very red star, I should say. And it could be that that's also a carbon star, but we don't. I have to look that one up to see if it is.
Pretty picture.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
So let's go back to our main view here and bring up our live planetarium that we like to use. And we can see that we're looking at the double cluster. And I think that what we want to do is probably go to. I'm going to pull out first here. Yeah, it's too far. All right, and I said you don't have to. You don't have to twist my arm to do this, but we're going to go here first before we head up to Andromeda. This is the little dumbbell. This looks kind of like the Dumbbell Nebula, but it's smaller. All right, watch the live view and watch this view. You'll actually see the telescope moving. And if you want to actually see the telescope moving, there it goes. You can see the telescope is moving there, and now it's zooming in on its target. It's almost there, so we're okay. So we come back to the little dumbbell. There it is. Okay, it's a planetary nebula. That is a nebula that is a remnant of a dying star. Hey, Carolina, how you doing? Carolina Sky has joined the group. All right, and it's the remnant of a dying star, as I said, and a star like this is one. Its progenitor was one that actually threw off a very interesting lobe in one direction and another, and that was kind of cool. So we're gonna check out what that really means, and we're gonna take a picture of it, and we're gonna do. We'll do 10 seconds at 12,500. Not 10 seconds at 10,000. There we go. So here we go. So let's find out what this 10 seconds gets us.
Mark, may I answer Tom?
You may. I didn't know he asked the question, but good.
He's asking is Celestron Travel Scope 70 telescope any good?
Oh.
Tom, it's is it a refractor? I would have to guess it's a refractor, 70 millimeters. It will probably be decent. Personally, I'd go for something bigger aperture for more light grasp. But hey, it beats no telescope at all.
Well, that's true. That's true. Okay, so here's a little dumbbell. Pretty cool, huh? So we actually see, it looks sort of like the Dumbbell Nebula we know. It has an upper lobe here and another lobe here, kind of like an hourglass, but then it has this fringe of material that was expelled from the star. But most of the material was expelled this way along either the equator of the star, which might have been spinning along an axis like this, so it's coming out of the page, going into the page, out in, going this way, or it might have been doing this, and we're talking about it coming out of the poles, perhaps. We have to, we'd have to look into this particular nebula to see what particular way it might have been spinning. To create that, but the stars typically create these shapes in planetary nebulas, and these shapes are known as bipolar planetary nebulas. And bipolarity is something that is somewhat common. Hey, Carol, how's it going? It's so nice to see you here. Although I'm not seeing you here, I just know you're here because your name is up. So let's go back and take another exposure of this. And for those still wondering where we are here looking at the little dumbbell heading up north, where we're going to eventually go see the Andromeda Galaxy, which is no longer at the top of the sky, but it's now heading past the zenith. We will be able to see it in just a little while. And I am so excited that all of this is going to be brought to you from Arizona in the near future. So excited. I cannot believe it's actually happening. Okay, so let's take another photo of the little dumbbell come out, and we're going to do this now. We're going to say 20 seconds. And we're going to go up higher. I want to show you that fringe around the outside. This will be 20 seconds at 12,800. Okay? So there you see it, and we should be we should be just fine here. Okay, here we go. So now we'll take the picture. Let me just do a little jog here. Okay, that locks the gear set on the telescope and make sure that we don't have any slop in the gear train, so that when it catches up, it won't make little dashed lines and what I call star walk, where the stars walk a little bit. And this will be a 20-second exposure, as you can see here on the right. So there we go. Now see, this is a nice shot. It actually shows, it's even a little better here. You can actually see when we zoom in, it's a little grainy, but we can get rid of the grain. Okay, a little star walk, but you can see these wings here, these outer areas, really much nicer. It's really cool. So you can see, I mean, most people, when they take a picture of this nebula, it only comes out to be like this little top and bottom spot. These parts here are subtle, and it's good to be able to capture those, you know. So that's pretty cool. And if we were to zoom way in, that's way too far. We can see the stars did move a little bit. I want to try and take a picture without them moving, I really do. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to jog us over a little bit. Alright, and then bring us back. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to take us to here and move us this way. You can see that one star moving, and then move us back. And wait for it to lock in. And then go. Those of you in the chat, Carol Carl is the world-renowned host on KGRA Radio of Behind the Obsidian Curtain, which is on Fridays at 7 p.m. I would actually, Carol, if you have a chance, why not tell folks some of your guests that you've had on there so they can get interested and come on out and support you. Oh, this is very cool. This is a nice one. Yeah, and this you can actually see some of the red now in the fringe. If we zoom in a little. Just like with the dumbbell, there's a little red fringe here at the bottom and the top. And it's really cool. And then you see this beautiful setup here. So we're actually enjoying this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us back. And I want to get back to my view here. And I want to take us up north more. I don't know if the dome is going to be in the way. But you know what? We're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out. Okay. Here we go. And we're off. And let's see what the dome looks like. Okay, you can see the telescope is making its way. It's actually there already. Oh, it looks like we're straight up almost, so we're good. This is good. All right. If you're interested in the equipment, I just want to show you while we're here. This is the telescope mount here. This is the hand controller, which I don't use because I'm in here. This is the barrel of the telescope. This is the diameter right here. You can actually see the barrel right here. The barrel goes all the way up here, and then down here is a camera. And that little faded gray square right there is actually the illuminated back screen of the camera. Okay, I use a DSLR, a digital single lens reflex camera. Basically, is what those words mean when you say DSLR. It's SLR is single lens reflex. So our system works very well, and we're going to migrate a similar system to the West desert, western desert. It'll be really nice. Okay, let's take some pictures here. So we're in the Andromeda Galaxy region. So let's first go into a 4K video mode, make sure that we're nearby, which I can't imagine we're not. Our telescope has always been right on the money, it seems. And yes, we are right there, right where it's expected. So we can shut that off and move up a little bit. So let's do that. Oops, sorry. That's better. Okay, so now let's move it up. Okay. All right, here we go. And let's just do a little bit of a jog here. Okay. And we're going to do 20 seconds. And instead of 102 4,000, let's be crazy. Let's do 32,000. 20 seconds at 32,000. Here we go. The Andromeda Galaxy is the core is gonna be blown right out, but maybe we'll see some subtle detail in the outer areas. Oh, James, yeah, James says aperture fever can get expensive. Yes, it can. And I've taken the tactic that says, yeah, aperture fever can get expensive, but you know what? It's probably better to invest in live astronomy that you can do, that everybody can see, rather than get this big giant aperture and not be able to show people. So I know that people like to get big Dobsonians, but you know what? Unless you're very clever, you're not going to be able to manage a remote Dobsonian observatory very well. I think that it'd be better to basically get something called an astrograph, which is a very expensive, much larger telescope that you can get, you know. So, hey, Francis Palmer. Nice to see you here. Thanks for coming by. So, yes, here's Andromeda Galaxy. Look at the dark lanes here. It's pretty nice. Shows up pretty nice there. Look at this modeling here in the core. You can see a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to our view here, and let's try and move us over a little bit.
You know, if you when you get your observatory in Arizona,
yeah,
you may need to motorize one more axis, and that's your where you could rotate the camera against the telescope, you know, to help compose a shot.
Yep, nope, you're absolutely right. And a camera rotator is actually something that we can do. And I was telling people before. I think I told you before, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. Anyway, tonight was the first night in SkyTour LiveStream history that I did everything from inside the house. I started the telescope from inside, started the computer. The only thing I still have to do is move the dome, and that's because I'm not going to use the dome in Arizona. I'm going to have the roof. But I wrote the circuit to turn on the telescope and the computer in there, and it works like a champ. It was just great. And tonight's kind of a test because I'm hoping that the power load that I'm putting on the circuit isn't too high. I don't think it is. I think it only runs on a 5 volts at low current, and that's all I need. So the next thing I have to do is get a garage door opener, because I'm going to be using a garage door opener to move the roof on and off the building. And I just have to get the program written to interface to the garage door opener, which I've actually done already. And it'll be a very simple code. I could probably write it in 15 minutes. That's not bragging. I'm telling you that because that's how easy it is. It's nothing to it. You know when you go in your garage from your house, you push a button on the wall. It looks like a doorbell. That's just a switch. That's all it is. And setting off a switch with a microcontroller is one of the easiest things on planet Earth to do. Now, the microcontrollers I use are called Arduinos. That's Arduino. Arduino.
Yep.
And the Arduinos are really good. And so I'm using an Arduino. I'm using an Arduino to turn on the telescope. I'm using an Arduino to open the roof out there. And I will use an Arduino to make a camera rotator, which will rotate the camera at the back end of the telescope. It just has to be a very, very, very accurate mount for the camera. If it rotates, it can't go out of out of focus. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it has to stay very, very nice. So that's something I'm gonna have to work on. I'm sure there will be. I want to say hi to Julian. How you doing? Julian Vibrajo, how are you? Nice to see you. Vibrajo, is that what you said? Yeah, Julian Vibrajo. I had to look over on the screen, sorry. Yeah, so coding is not a problem. I used to be a programmer in another life. But the Arduino system is a microcontroller system that you write in what looks like a cross between JavaScript and C++. And so it's pretty interesting. And I've used a lot of different things. Okay, we're going to go 20 seconds. And I'm going to actually go crazy here and go up to 51,200 on this and just see what I get. All right, we're taking this picture now. Oh, yes, we are. Oh, Carol, you're gonna replay our show that I did when I did my appearance on your show? That's cool. That's very cool. All right, let's see what we got here now. Walked a little bit. We got to get rid of that. You can see my noise optimization algorithm works so very well. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to this and get rid of that motion a little bit. I don't like that. So now we're just gonna drop us to go to the east. That's the eastward motion, which you can't really tell because the stars are pretty faint on the screen. All right, and then we go back, and now we'll do it again. Oh yeah, December 20th there, you're doing Ket Thorvaldsen's interview. Ket Thorvaldsen is the other half of our new science tour that we do. She and I traveled across Norway in August, and we did talks in Oslo and Bergen and Lunda. And we actually had a really interesting time. A lot of good people. And a lot of people were very interested in what we had to say, which is really good. I really enjoyed the folks over there. It's really hard to get into their confidence because the Norwegian people are very conservative in that regard. So it's kind of tough, but it was good. It was good. I had a good time there. And Ket Thorvaldsen is a woman that has had some strange experiences happen to her, as I have had to me. And so she wrote a book about it called My Life as a Hybrid. And if you ever saw her, you would actually say that she does have an interesting look. Number one. Number two, it's not just the look. Okay, she actually also has something else going for her in a way, and that is that she can take magnets and put them on her body, and they will stay there, magnetized to little nodules that are on her body, and they are arranged in a symmetric manner on her body. And so when she puts one on the left side of her nose, you can put one on the right side of her nose. When you put one on her left shoulder, you can put one on her right shoulder in the same spot. And they are magnetized. They stay there. Doctors have examined her. They've looked and done x-rays. You can actually see the x-rays which show these weird implant-type structures that are in her body. And there's no scar tissue indicating where they came from at all. Usually if someone, say, injected an iron clump to make a magnet do that to hoax someone, had they done that, you'd see evidence of it. And there's no evidence whatsoever of this. In fact, they're in places that she just couldn't have done, and that not even a doctor could have done, because they're behind bones in some cases. Really interesting stuff. So that's why I find it interesting. So I think Carol's probably gonna talk to her about a lot of that, and she's probably gonna talk to her about her astrophysics work that she does. Ket is not an astrophysicist, but she actually has a very interesting take on astrophysics, which I find fascinating. And not because Ket's my friend, okay, but because I think that she has a fascinating point about astrophysics, and I really admire her for coming out with it. Anyway, so there's your promo, Carol. So now hopefully people will go listen to that show when it's up, and when you do the interview with her, because she's a fascinating lady. Oh, and her and I will be speaking in Laughlin in February at the Mega UFO Con. I'll be doing my talk on astronomy and astrophysics that talks about where our science goes when everything breaks down. Meaning, in the face of strange findings in science, we find, for instance, that astronomy just breaks down and cannot explain anything properly. And I discussed how that seems to be the case that I've discovered and found. And that talk was very well received in Norway, and very well received in other places where I've done it. I mean, I do like 13 to 15 different types of talks, but that's my life. But the bottom line is this is really something, because it's hard to be a science guy and then have stuff go against your science that you thought was really solid. And so that's what my talk is about, and what I'll be doing in Laughlin. So I hope that you guys, if you get a chance, go to the UFO MegaCon in Laughlin and check it out. That said, I'm here with Daryl Mason tonight on SkyTour LiveStream, and we're doing a wonderful stream. It's the Thanksgiving night stream of our beautiful night sky here. And I can tell you this, for those of you that were with us the first night that I imaged certain things in the sky that I'd never seen before with our setup here, I think you probably remember when I first imaged the Veil Nebula in Cygnus and the Dumbbell Nebula in Vulpecula. You probably remember how I simply was breathless. I was like awestruck. I had never seen them before in the telescope, and then I saw them for the first time in this telescope with all of you, and I kind of embarrassed myself, but it was really an amazing sight to me. So you can imagine when we get to Arizona, this image of the Andromeda Galaxy will not look like this. It's going to be much deeper, and there's going to be much more data that we'll be able to see. It's going to be a much, much better view. And I'm not sure that I'll be able to handle it, to be honest with you. I might be, screaming like a little girl. If little girls even scream, okay? But I might be. Now, this is 51,200 for 20 seconds. You can see this other galaxy right here, one of the companion galaxies. And Daryl, you know which one that is?
It's either M110 or M32. I would guess M32, but I'm probably wrong.
Well, we can find out right away, can't we? Because all we have to do is go here, and you'll see M110 right there.
Ta-da.
Yeah, there we are. Okay, and we're looking at Andromeda rotated, right? Because this is up, this is down in our telescope view. Okay, so we're actually seeing, all right, there it is there, and so it's up top, see? So if we go back and look at this again, there it is there, and it's up top. That's how we're looking at it. I wanted to show you guys that. Because we noticed that M32 is actually kind of off the center a little bit. All right, down here, So if we're seeing this, okay, like this, well, M32 is just a little bit out of our view. But if you'd like to see it, well, then I can just bring the telescope down. But I want to just do one thing before I do that. I actually want to take us to just a little bit more to here and check that out. Just bring that M110 a little bit better. So we're gonna move a little bit now. Okay. All right, there we go. So now we're dead centered on that. And let's just come back to our spot over here. Let's go see what we've got going on here. We can stop so we know where we are. All right. There we are. And now we're going to do 20 seconds again at 51,200. You ready? I'm not ready. Now I'm ready. Here we go. Hey Genghis, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Good to see you. I know Carolina Sky. It's true. He says, every time I look at something in space with my telescope, I'm always in awe. Yeah, me too. You know what? Even if it's the moon. Because I sometimes find myself in awe about the moon. I muse about the moon quite a bit, actually, with people. I had a lot of posts I did on Facebook lately discussing the role of our moon. The moon is covered with craters. And people say, well, the moon, saved us from being hit by a lot, and the moon was responsible for life on the Earth. You know what? I understand the reasoning, because in the beginning, we had a 4-hour day on this planet. Because that's how fast the Earth spun. It spun 6 times faster. And the moon, because the moon's presence was there, it slowed down the Earth with what's called angular momentum transfer, right? And the moon began to slow down our planet's rotation rate. By the time the rotation rate was around 12 hours long, and we had a 12-hour day, that's when the first life appeared on our planet. And by the time there was 18-hour day, that's when photosynthesis began on this planet. So you're tempted to say, does a long day promote life? Is a longer day, and without the moon, could we have survived? Could life have existed here? Well, the answer is not known to us, but we can only speculate. And one of the things that I speculate about with that is, I will say, if life was present on our planet as microbes, to go to the next step, did it require a longer day? And the answer is probably yes, probably no. People say, rightly, well, the moon causes deep tides, and the oceans are pulled away from the shorelines, every 12 hours on this planet because of these tides. So the question is that something that is a life-bearing requirement? And the answer is, again, unclear. But think about this. If there was no moon, the tides in the Bay of Fundy, say they're 29 feet. They're the biggest tides on the planet, where sometimes the entire bay, you can have 29 feet of water removed from it during the day, maybe more. Well, the tides will still be almost 13 feet if the moon wasn't there. And you're like, wait, how? If the moon isn't there, doesn't the moon create the tides? Yes, the moon does create a partial tide. But without answering, Daryl, I know you know the answer. Does anyone in the chat know what else generates the tides on this planet? All right, it's something very obvious. And so when this comes through, let me know. I'll be reading the chat, and I won't give away the answer while I keep talking. But the bottom line is, we would still have tides, and that means that we would end up having areas that were muddy, and marine animals would still have to learn how to deal with, and Julian is correct. Well done, Julian. The sun also creates tides. Now, the tides are a lot stronger, hundreds of times stronger than the moon's, but it's farther away. So because it's farther away, it's a lower effect. However, it amounts to 44% of the moon's tidal force. That's still significant, and still would have generated tidal pools, still would have generated a possibility that life would require require a tidal pool to exist. Now, here's the thing, though. Without the moon, these creatures would see tidal pools every 4 hours, not every 12 hours. All right? So, who knows? Maybe we would have left the oceans sooner if the moon wasn't here. Maybe we could have evolved to land sooner. Okay? Now, wolves wouldn't have anything to howl at, but wolves run around back then, so who cares? All right? But that's the thing, we have to think about these things. This is a very important set of thoughts, because could it be that the presence of the moon was actually a detriment to life forming on the Earth? If you think about it, it has a gravity well. It's 1/6 the mass of the Earth, but it still has gravity. So that means that asteroids flying through the inner solar system in the early days were attracted to the Earth and moon, not just the Earth, but the Earth and moon together were forming a location in space that was attracting things. So maybe we were, by some percentage, maybe made more vulnerable. Maybe a lot of the extinction events, of the 5 major extinction events on the planet, maybe 2 or 3 were impacts. Maybe those extinction events were brought about because of the moon. Because of the moon. And if that's the case, wow, that's a revelation, right? Because that means that, holy cow, we would just be we'd be completely cut loose. I mean, we might not even be here if the extinction events went another way. During the Permian, 98% of life was wiped out. All the creatures that were prior to mammals, the pre-mammals, were forced into basically hiding, So after that, however, the creatures in the Jurassic, at the end of the Jurassic, at the Cretaceous Paleogene boundary, it's called, 65 million years ago, well, that wiped out the dinosaurs over a period of several 100,000 years. Didn't happen overnight. The food chains and the ecosystems had to fail one by one, and that slow demise of the dinosaurs gave the pre-mammals niches that they could now move in and fill again. But they never went away. In fact, mammals were dominant 252 million years ago, before the Permian extinction, which is probably not an impact, but the Siberian Traps eruptions where Siberia is now. And then that could have led to, and probably did lead to the era of the dinosaurs, the age of the reptiles. Now, if we have reptiles on this planet, perhaps there would be a reptile-type creature on another planet. And perhaps if we didn't have the extinction 65 million years ago, perhaps we would have had a intelligent dinosaur at some point. We don't know that. We never can say that, because intelligence isn't a foregone conclusion. It's only a possible outcome. So that said, we have to consider that the Troodon, which is the most the closest thing to the intelligence of a bird, actually, that was available back then. Maybe the Troodon could have actually become a more intelligent creature. Now, it didn't become an intelligent creature. It didn't actually become more intelligent because it was wiped out. So we don't get to see what its line was. I'm still doing the Andromeda Galaxy. I'm just moving it up a little bit to bring in a piece of the galaxy down below here, and you'll see M110 up here somewhere. Hopefully it didn't go out of the picture, but it'll be close. And we're doing 20 seconds at 51,200. So if you got any questions about that evolution of dinosaurs and so forth, I mean, I am open to those. I have, there we go. I do have a bit of thoughts there because I have spoken about it in my book, The Populated Universe, and I've researched the nature of the moon around the Earth. If you look at the moon, it was born of a violent, beginning, and you can see the many craters upon craters, craters within craters, the gigantic impact areas that are the Maria on the moon that were then, again, covered with craters. There were several bombardment eras. And, again, the moon could have brought these things to it. It could have pulled these things into our general vicinity and been the linchpin to cause an extinction event. We don't know. Maybe we're here because the moon brought an asteroid here that was the one that hit the Yucatan. Or maybe what we were as mammals before in the Permian and got wiped out that allowed dinosaurs to arise. Maybe the Permian mammals could have survived if we didn't have an extinction. And if they did, then perhaps we would have had 200 million years to evolve to intelligence rather than 65 million so-called years to arise to intelligence. And maybe this conversation would be a moot point. Maybe we'd be at the stars already. Maybe we'd already be doing more advanced travel in space. But certainly, we would look much different than we do now. We are exactly the way we are because of this circuitous nature of extinctions on this planet. I know I'm kind of sound like I'm lecturing a little bit, and I apologize for that, but I absolutely love these concepts. Hey, Dagger Spells. I want to welcome Papa Tom and Tom Brown. And Do W's here. Thanks, guys. Good to see you. I said hi to Genghis. Jim Smith, welcome. How you doing? And let's see, who else did I miss? Paula Trades, welcome. Gas Mask, good to see you too. So we're actually hanging out tonight, looking at the sky straight up. In fact, we're having a good time. Daryl Mason is with me, who's just sitting there in the background rolling his eyes because I go off on a little lecture spiel again. Sorry, Daryl, I just don't give you a chance to talk sometimes, man. I'm sorry.
I want a raise.
You probably deserve one, having to deal with me.
Hey, I only set off the smoke detector twice today making Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah,
That's
what?
pretty good for me.
I opened the oven at one point and smoke billowed out, and it happened to be some butter that actually spilled into the bottom of the oven and just went woof and just made this big billowing smoke. But we didn't get the smoke alarms to go off. Really not good. Should have gone off. Hey, GXD, what's going on?
Check your batteries.
Yeah. Oh, they're lined up. They're attached to the house current. This is beautiful.
Actually, so is mine.
Okay, so I wonder why it didn't go off.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. We should wonder about this now. That's not a good thing. So we're in the Andromeda galaxy here. I want to just do one more shot right down here. I'm going to move us down. M110, that galaxy you saw there, that's an elliptical galaxy. It's a companion to the Andromeda galaxy. It's also about 2 million light years away from us. Okay. And it's what's called an E5 elliptical grade 5, meaning that it's reasonably elongated. An E0, for instance, would be almost a sphere. Okay. And an E9 would be much longer than this. But we're going to go look here at M32, which is another elliptical, but it's an E2 elliptical. So it's not quite as elongated as this. So let's go over to that. So we're going to go there now and see what we get. I always say that, but I know what we're going to get. We're going to get a beautiful view. All right, so the telescope is moving. You can see a star coming in over here. Here it comes. And then it goes under behind me. Sorry. See, where is it? Well, it's let's see if I can, let me do this here. Okay, like this. All right, so there it is. It's right there. And I just had it behind me. Sorry. And yes, this is me here. Hi, guys. Yeah. And then back down. because I don't want you to see my mug. You came here to see stars, not my face. All right. So that said, let's go back to our view and try and bring up M32, the E2 elliptical grade 2 in the Andromeda Galaxy. We'll do 20 seconds at 51.2 again. Here we go. Okay. And if anyone has any ideas what they'd like to see, please go right ahead and put those in the chat. This is sort of a groupthink thing. If you want to see something, let me know. I'll show you. You know, happy to do it. Hey, John Ostains, how you doing, man? Haven't seen you in a long time. I'm glad you came out to see us tonight. Yeah, and there we go. So here's the Andromeda Galaxy, and here is M32, Measure 32. Yeah, and I want to point something out to you. Let me see if I can show it better here. Not quite, but I was trying to bring a little more detail out. Do you see this area here? Right here? See what looks like a cloud? Now, that's a cloud. That's in the Andromeda Galaxy. That's actually a cluster of stars and star-forming region that's out over here. There's a number of these in the Andromeda Galaxy. And it's really, really pretty. It's a great region. And there's, like I said, a number of them. And we could study them and spend a lot of time doing that. But then I wouldn't be able to show you other things. But if you want to see things, and if you have anything that you like, that you'd like to see, that you know about in the Cassiopeia, Cepheus region, let me know, because that's kind of our playground tonight, where we are. So that's sort of where we are.
How about M33 maybe? That star-forming cloud you just showed in Andromeda.
Well, yeah, that's right.
There's a really good one in M33 you can compare it to.
That's exactly right, and it's right over here. So should we check that out then, Daryl?
Sure.
Okay. Now I may have to move the dome, because I may have a problem with it. But we'll see. It's pretty close to the zenith, so it may not move that much. All right, guys, why don't we go there? Let's check it out. So we're going to leave behind Measure 33, Measure 31, Measure 32, and Measure 110 up there that we saw. Where was it? It was right here, up at the top. Okay, so up above the Andromeda Galaxy, we have M110. Down below the Andromeda Galaxy, boop, we have Measure 32. So that's a pretty cool set of galaxies, these three galaxies. So now let's go over here, and we're going to come and we're going to head on over to the Triangulum Galaxy Measure 33. All right, so here we go. We're on our way, and I'll bring up the telescope so you can see where we're going. All right, the stars are moving, telescope's running.
Looks like you may have got lucky.
I might have got lucky. I sure did. Telescope has moved to the region without obstruction. We're in good shape. So we come back here, and let's go over here. And we've got one star there. We're just going to zip us over here a little bit. Lock on. And now we'll do 20 seconds at 51,200. This should be a real pretty shot.
Summer of 1980, I was living in a log cabin just off the top of Fremont Pass here in Colorado. My cabin was at about 11,000 feet elevation, and I had such a dead dark sky you would not believe it. You know, it was almost 40 years ago, and I could swear I saw M33 naked eye one night. Now, it didn't look anything like this, but, you know, I believe I saw M33 naked eye.
I don't necessarily disbelieve that at all. Now, this is M33 through the telescope right now. There's a little bit trying to pull out more detail, but if we look at this, you can see, I think we gotta probably, that's pretty close. I want to move it a little higher, but look at this. You can see the spiral arms. This galaxy is an SC, so the S means spiral, capital S, and then a little c means that it's not quite as wound up as the Andromeda Galaxy, which is an SB. Wow, excuse me, I had to sneeze. So anyway, let's see here. Okay.
Yeah, the one thing to take note of here is that fuzzy object at about 10 o'clock.
The one right there that I'm pointing to?
Yep. And that star forming region we saw in Andromeda, well, this is the same thing in M33.
Right. And M33, by the way, if we look at M33's location in the sky, okay, let's pull away for just a minute here. Just enough so you can see there's M33. All right, but we have, here it is. Where is it? Come on, move down here. I want to get to here. Okay, here we are. So, where is the Andromeda Galaxy? It's right there. So, if you look at the Andromeda Galaxy right here, and look here, Triangulum Galaxy is actually not that much further away from us. It's like 2.7 million light years away. And the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy is just over 2 million light years away. So that's not bad. You know? So basically, to me, that tells us that these two galaxies are close enough to actually be interacting with each other gravitationally a little bit. It's true, considering that the distance from us to the Andromeda Galaxy at 2+ million light years, the Andromeda Galaxy is hurtling in our direction, and we're going to see it in a couple of billion years. But let's go back to the view here. So this guy right here is a star-forming region. It's actually an OB association, a lot of O stars and B stars, young hot stars. There's another one here, there's another one here, another one here, another one there. This galaxy is filled with them. And if we can take a slightly deeper shot, I'm going to go up in these, I'm going to go up in the, to 64. Oh, heck, let's go to 80,000 for 20 seconds, okay? I want to see if we can capture just a little bit of the color that I think is so important to see for this. All right, so let me just do that. All right, so this is our view here, with this being our... All right, and then we have our view here. Okay. So I think I want to go and try and change our view a little bit here. So we're going to go here and do some manipulation here to try and bring some more detail out. Not bad. Pull a little bit back on the contrast here. Yeah. If I wanted to make a black and white image, this is what it looked like. But with the color, I think that actually adds a tremendous amount. You know. So the other thing we can see in here is other fuzzy objects, and they're not clusters per se, but objects like this and like this, right? Like, let me show you, like this guy and this guy and this guy, okay, and this guy. These are different types of clusters that are in this galaxy. In fact, these are globular clusters, kind of like the ones we see in our galaxy, but they're obviously much, much farther away. See, then we have one here. Okay, that's actually part of one of the spiral arms. So there's an amazing, amazing view of this galaxy. I'm going to take us up a bit and bring us back to give us, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to bring it up into our view a little more.
That's a nice picture. Boy, down below the center of M33, I mean, all those clouds are just busted up like that.
Yeah. You mean down here?
That's really something. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lower half of the pinwheel itself.
Yeah. Well, I brought it up so we see it better because I had noticed that and I wanted to kind of accentuate it. So to do it, now we'll do it. Okay, this is, let's just make sure again, we're going to just jog east and west a little bit. Okay. All right, here we go. So now this will be 20 seconds at 80,000. And we're going to be looking at this area here. Now, when you come in here, okay, you'll notice that there are areas in here that are just, they're also marked with special little indicators. That's because there's an awful lot of identified elements in this galaxy, like we've talked about. And among them are things like these regions here that are star-forming regions. But let's go check them out for real. Let's go check it out. There we are. Wow. So that's pretty. Look at that, guys. You can see the spiral arm. Here's the nucleus of this galaxy. And you can see the spiral arm coming out. And as the spiral arm's coming out, you can see not just one, not just two, but you can see several H2 regions. That is, regions where hydrogen is being caused to illuminate by these very young, hot ultraviolet stars. The bluish disk is really bluish in real life. The center is more yellowy, but don't forget we are using a filter that kind of makes things look a little bit like, with a blue bit of a haze, but we are getting an awful lot of detail that we couldn't ordinarily get. So you actually see right here, you can see another one right here, there's another area here. You can see some fuzzy areas like here. These might be either globular clusters in here. This for certain is right here. Okay, this is as well. That certainly is. And the globular clusters, remember, are halo objects. They're outside the galaxy, and they rotate and orbit the galaxy from above and below, moving through the disk and so forth. That's generally what they have done. So we might actually catch some out here. Like this might not be a star in our galaxy. This could be one of those globulars out there. And distance estimates would give us that information. So that's pretty cool, So this is Messier 33. The spiral arms here. They go all the way out here. And if we were to take a lot of photos of this and stack them together, we could do so and get rid of all this noise. But this is a one shot right now, so that's why we're seeing it like this. So I hope you like that. I hope it's really enjoyable, because I think it's just really stunning tonight.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And if we're in Arizona, which we're not, we're still in Connecticut at the moment, then the sky background here would be a lot darker. The detail in here would be a lot cleaner. And I don't know, I probably won't be sleeping for, a week or two, because I just won't be able to go to bed. If it's dark out and the observatory's up and running, oh my gosh, I'm going to be running that like you can't believe. I can't imagine I'll sleep if I can be imaging all night long. I'll probably image all night long for weeks, weeks.
You just sleep in the daytime.
Who said anything about sleep? I'm going to add to the observatory. Yeah, you're right. I got to do something to, during the day. But the bottom line is, I'm telling you, it's just really beautiful. Now, when you use these high ISOs, you do get all this noise. All right, that's what happens when you use that. But you can see that when they're smaller, okay, it's not as bad looking to your eye. And what I do is I actually can make these images look like this, but when you're looking at them like this. I can take care of this noise. And taking care of the noise and get rid this noise here that you're seeing, this is called contrast noise from the sensor. And sometimes you'll see color banding, like you can actually see a little red band here, another red band up here, a little green band. This doesn't really belong there. That's called color noise. So you remove that first, and then you remove this other contrast noise, and when you do, it shows you the regular data that's sitting behind it. And that's why when you see the results of what we do here at SkyTour LiveStream, that's why you actually see some really beautiful. Oh, hello. Okay. I should be back now. Daryl, you back?
You are back now. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
I can. All right. I'm not sure what happened
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think I do know what happened. When I took off my sweatshirt, I got a shock when I touched the computer, and I think that got me.
Static charge.
Yep. And the music should now be back as well.
Yep, I hear the music.
Okay. Yes, James Dugan. I'm using the UHCS for the telescope right now. What's UHCS? Well, the UHC is ultra high contrast, and the ultra high contrast filter is what we use to actually get some of the imagery that you see here. And when I put this on for the first time, Daryl was here. He saw how much it looked like this phenomenal difference from what we used to have, and it was so much better. And so this filter really is just golden. I absolutely have no problems with it. I love it quite a lot. It's actually quite a good filter.
Yeah, well, your first filter was 03, and that filter I loaned you for a while was 03 narrow bandpass. And then this one, the UHCS, it also is capturing hydrogen alpha well.
Yes, it
and,
is.
The difference is just like night and day, I think.
It is. It is. It's really, really pretty. We can see galaxies better. We can see nebulae better. And I wish, maybe in the cards we'll have what's called a filter wheel that we can put in at some point. And the filter wheel will allow us to switch around the filters we're using. So maybe we'll see the same shot with a UHCS, and then we'll put in a different filter and see what it looks like and see what the images look like. And then it'll open up the way to being able to have what's called a narrow band filter system, where we'll have 3 different types of filters that we can combine the images and get spectacular results, especially in Arizona. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm just...
That's one more thing you'll have to motorize then, too, of course.
Yeah, that's okay. I actually have one.
Yeah,
I have a motorized. I have a motorized filter wheel already.
Oh, cool.
But it's only 1 1/4 inch diameter, and I like 2-inch filters because you get more field and so forth.
Right.
See you later, DW, if you didn't already leave. Yeah. So yeah, this is pretty. So I wanna pull us out here. That was the Andromeda world we were living in there for a while. Now I'd like to take us down. I'm sure this is going to necessitate a movement of the dome. Yeah, probably. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me pull out and see how we are here. Yeah, that's southwest. That's not gonna be in our view because we're way over here. All right. Well, I would like to I'd like to take us to a few different things, but I'm not sure. Actually, we started on this the other night, and we kind of looked at it, but we didn't actually stay there for long. So I'd like to actually go check it out again. Okay, so let's go to the Northern Trifid. We didn't actually spend too much time, unfortunately, but I want to try and show it to you. Let me also bring up my camera system here is down for some reason. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna be looking straight out of into the dome, so we're not gonna be able to see that without moving. But that's okay because I want to move us anyway and get us into this region again. Because this is really cool. Auriga has some really neat stuff. So, Daryl, do you mind hanging out for a bit while I just go move the dome a little?
Sure.
All right, I'll take us.
I'll try to entertain people.
Oh, you will. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I set off my smoke detector twice today making Thanksgiving dinner. The first time was expected. I do the Alton Brown roast turkey method. That's where you start it off at 500 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Then you turn it down to 350. And when I cranked my oven up to 500, well, things started smoking. And my smoke detector went off. And it was barely above freezing here. But I had to go open the front window and the back door to get some ventilation in the house and clear the smoke. Dinner came out, it was almost perfect. And then, like an idiot, I had a package of dinner rolls and I set the package down on a hot burner. And I didn't notice it for a minute or two. So my dinner rolls caught on fire, and there was the second time my smoke detector went off. So I got to open the window and the door all over again and get some nice, fresh, cold air in the house and cleared the smoke and got Mr. Detector to go off again. The dinner itself was excellent. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving also. Family and friends and good food and good times, you know. I've been cooking Thanksgiving dinner long enough, but I've gotten pretty good at it. And I wouldn't say I could do it with my eyes closed yet, but it sure was good. Except for those rolls. I'm going to have to go get some more rolls now. Looks like Mark's in Auriga. It's kind of a roughly hexagonal shaped constellation up in the northeastern sky this time of night. Capella's the brightest star. And you can't quite see Capella. He's just out of view to the left here. Those three stars that make a tight little triangle up toward the upper left of that stellarium view right now. Well, the two closer down, the two farther down that are closer together, those two are called the kids, as in baby goats. I used to think all three were the kids, and then I found out it's only those two real close ones. I can't quite make it out on the screen. Those are the kids, and then the one a little farther to the upper left is actually Capella's elbow or his shoulder, if I remember correctly. He's sort of cradling the two baby goats in his left arm.
Trying to help you out there.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about Auriga. There's a couple of really cool objects here that I wanted to showcase. Auriga was always, for me, a place where I would go to see just a couple of clusters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I would do. I would go see the starfish cluster. I would go here to see, you know, these little clusters here and here. And, you know, those were really cool to see, but I always envisioned Auriga as a place that was really kind of boring. And then, thus, when I had a revelation, I decided I was going to actually spend some time looking through Auriga. And I found this location here. And I actually showed you this, the Flaming Star Nebula, but we'll go here again now. Okay, watch the left side. You'll see the telescope moving. You might see a bright star zip through the field here. Yep, there you go. And the Flaming Star Nebula was far and away one of the most beautiful objects I ever saw. It's an emission nebula, and it's also a reflection nebula as well. And those of you that know me know that I have trouble with the words reflection nebula, because a reflection nebula implies it's reflecting, and this is not why nebulas are blue. They're blue from scattering. You know, they scatter the high frequency light, which is the higher, you know, the color blue. And so, for the same reason we have a blue sky, we have blue nebulae sometimes like this down here. But let's go check it out. So this is the region of the Flaming Star Nebula. 20 seconds at 80,000. Probably pretty steep, but let's try it out. Why not? Okay. Sure.
Well, darn it. Hang on.
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead. Daryl's fan club calling.
Yeah. You got me.
Yep. Hey, he's got a big fan club. What can you say?
Me?
Everybody wants Daryl.
At least I'm not on any wanted posters that I know of.
Oh, that's true, you know, and neither am I. Yeah. Okay, we're pretty.
Actually, I suspect that was my sister calling to say Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, well, that's probably a call you should have taken, man.
No. I should have told her I was streaming with you tonight. She was one when my phone rang during the show Sunday night. She's in Hawaii, and she has no sense of what time it is where I am.
Okay.
So she calls it inopportune moments a lot. No worries, we'll catch
She lives
up.
there?
I'm sorry?
She lives there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, you got a place to stay if you ever go to Hawaii, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
You guess.
Now, they lived up here in the high country for 40-some-odd years, and they retired about 4 years ago. They had a vacation property over there for many years, and they moved over there and live there full-time now.
Wow.
40-some-odd winters in the high country here. They got tired of it, so
I can't blame
when
them.
they retired, they moved and lived there full-time now.
I can't blame them. Who could blame them?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well,
No?
cost of living is horrible over there.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Huh.
But hey,
everything's imported.
They basically live on the beach on a daily basis, so.
I would get tired of that myself, because beach air is highly detrimental to anything like a car or whatever. Now, if you don't get winter, that's one thing. You could just wash it off.
Right.
But you got to have an ample supply of fresh water to keep your stuff you don't want corroded and destroyed by the salty air, away.
Yeah.
Yep. So how we doing
Yeah.
in chat tonight? How you guys doing out there in chat? Anybody got any questions out there? Anybody got any ideas as to what they'd like to see? Let me know. Let Daryl know. We will be happy to indulge you. I'm just going to pull up our screen here for a minute. And let's, okay, so we are...
Are you still on the Flaming Star?
I am.
Okay.
And we're going to move. We're going to take us to another location here, which I'm looking up right now. I'm wondering, my screen is frozen here. Come on. I don't like that it's frozen. It's frozen here for a minute. I just gotta figure out why. This used to happen way in the beginning, and don't know why it's happening now.
Static charge again?
No, I don't think so. But, okay, it's back. See, I don't know why it does that. Something is timing out. It's going to be something in what's called ASCOM, which is the communications program that manages the connection between the telescope and the computer. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go down to the Spider Nebula here. Spider Nebula. This is a H2 region. That's the ionized hydrogen region where stars are formed. Okay, and this is a beautiful little region, and I want to show it to you. So watch the stars over here. Okay, there they go. And we're in the region of the Spider Nebula now. Give you one quick guess as to why it's called the Spider Nebula. I don't even have... Yeah. John Ostein's asking the question. Source of the recent oxygen detected on Mars. Well, here's what's going on Mars. I can't answer fully because the science is not fully in. But oxygen can be created geologically. But it's obviously also a byproduct of certain life like us, right? I mean, we actually have on our planet, okay, the Earth has an abundance of creatures and little buggies, okay, that actually will create oxygen while eating and gobbling carbon dioxide. This is something that is very intriguing to us. If it's on Mars, this is 20 seconds at 80,000, by the way. If it's on Mars, then you see it's possible that we're seeing the direct result of creatures on Mars that are alive. And these objects, these creatures will probably be microbial for sure. I can't expect we're going to have these massive creatures on Mars. Mars has had a real tumultuous history. Okay? Wow, there we go. Let's just rotate that into position. Wow. So, being that it's had this tumultuous history, we're not going to see, complex life on Mars. All right, but we will see creatures on Mars that might be little microbial guys. So maybe they're creating the oxygen. The other thing is maybe we're looking at oxygen that was trapped in the rock strata and released with seasonal changes on Mars. We thought maybe methane was released that way. The trouble is, methane, like in a methane ice, okay, those are called clathrates, or on the bottom of the ocean there, the methane hydrates. They trap methane, but they also can be expunged from the strata very, very quickly if the pressure comes up or the temperature changes. And in the Mars seasonal cycles, If the methane was trapped there, it means it was gas form and then trapped. So that means that there will probably be and have been a complementary heating that would release it, okay, because it was gaseous to begin with. So if that's the case, and that possibility is just a possibility, it could also have always been, it could have been formed directly to a clathrate, one of those methane ices. If that's the case, that this was gaseous at one point, well, then it means that it could happen again, and it would probably be unlikely that this would be methane that was trapped in the strata, and it might actually be bacteria poop that we're seeing, because that's what methane typically is. So that is an intriguing possibility and brings up a lot of possibilities for us, and that's why when NASA sent any probe that has gone to Mars has gone looking for life. It's literally looking for life. That's what they do when they go to Mars. They look for life. Every mission that we've ever done to Mars is in part looking for life. So that's something that I think is probably a really good thing, and I know that we need to consider that life on Mars is not going to be like life here, right? Life here is going to be very, very different than Mars, and the Mars life is probably, right now anyway, appears microbial. Now, it is true that under the south pole of Mars, we found what amounts to be a 12-kilometer long water lake, subterranean lake under Mars. Now, it doesn't mean there's a lake in a cavern and water's just sitting there flowing. It could be water that's trapped in the rock strata. And is it possible that some hardy life forms could be there? Yeah, it's possible. So I think that's pretty interesting, But that's a really good question. So the oxygen could be from biological forms. It could also be from geological forms. It just requires a little more research to be able to see. We actually have to be there. Curiosity, that rover, which landed in 2012? No. When did that land?
2013, 2012. You're in approximately the right time, I believe. It's been there a few years now.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have had a 90-day lifetime, and I think we're a little past that. And that's really good, because the Mars Science Laboratory, Curiosity, is the most equipped of all the missions ever sent to Mars. It's the size of a small bus. And when it got down there, this thing has actually been tooling around on the planet for many years and has made finds, because it has more scientific instruments on it than any other mission ever sent to Mars combined. The Mars Insight lander it has a set of unique instrumentation too, although it had trouble with its drill trying to do that 16-foot core into Mars. But it's Mars will reveal its secrets. It'll give up its secrets slowly but surely. You can see the Spider Nebula here. Okay. And then down here, again, there's never a shot without them. These little red stars that show up throughout the shots. They're all over the place. This star is nice and red. This star is nice and red. Okay. Right here, this star's red, that star's red. And then looking around, now this star is probably the reddest of the bunch so far. That one's a close second. So yeah, so this is the Spider Nebula. Now we come back here. Yeah, let's go check it out. Now, the Spider Nebula is one of those nebulas that's actually one that actually is spent that we actually see as an H2 region. Okay, why is it doing that to me again? We're gonna have to figure this out. For some reason, and this happened once before. We had a stream where it would hang for a while. It comes back, but I don't know why it's delaying us. This is just not. It's messy, very messy. do not like it. In fact, the entire connection is not. See, now it's back, and I don't understand what's going on there. Something's timing out, and I will have to figure that out. I will not be subject to this from 2,700 miles away. No way. So anyway, the Spider Nebula then was an H2 region, a star-forming region, right here in the constellation of Auriga. Something I've never, ever looked at, even as a kid. You know, even as a kid. Now, the Pinwheel Cluster, right? The Pinwheel Cluster is one of the two clusters I actually looked at here in Auriga as a kid. This is Messier 36. So let's check out Messier 36, all right? Because it's really pretty. You'll watch the stars move here, and the telescope comes down, and you'll see a hint of it on the screen. You can see at least some of the stars right here. Can you see those stars? That's the beginning of it. All right.
Barely.
Well, that's right, because right now, if we go back and look at what we've got for settings, we don't need to be up here in the 80,000 realm. We could be down here to like 12.5, 12.8. All right, 10,000 is good, and then we can actually do just 15 seconds. So let's bring that up, and let's just jog it west. Lock up the gear mesh, and go Gilgamesh. Yep. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so I'll show you. This is the one that I used to look at in my telescope all the time. There we go. And this is, I took the picture at the approximate settings that I would use, so you could actually see what I saw. This is what I saw in my telescope. Wow, look at that, I would think. Look at that beautiful Messier 36. It's beautiful, you know. The stars are gorgeous little jewel box. I always love these little jewel boxes, you know. And then one thing that's kind of cool is if we back out just enough. Again, here's a red dwarf. There's a red dwarf. There's another one. Okay. And there's more stars in here that are red dwarfs as well. There's one down here. There's one down here. Then there's another one right here, which may be a carbon star down here. See that? That little tiny faint one. So these are all up there. So keep in mind, everywhere you look, why do I push the red dwarfs? Well, I only push them because when we find life around another world, then most likely what we're going to find is life that's actually probably around one of these dwarfs, because they have more planets than any other kind of star. This is say they're the most common star in the universe, and so they're going to have more planets than any other type of star, because there's more of these red stars. So I love my little jewel boxes. And let's go back to let's go back here, and let's make sure that, all right, so now I'm not locked up now. If I bring this up, does it lock me up? No. Okay, not this time, of course. All right, so
got M37 and M38 in Auriga too, don't you?
yes, you do. I'm trying to get to those.
Yeah, all star clusters, I believe.
Yeah, I think that we're looking at this guy here. Okay, this is M38. This is another one. We'll go check that out. You'll like this one. Watch the stars move. Okay, and we'll see some other stars. Here we go. They're swinging in. If you can just barely see them. Yeah. And we can see them certainly if I turn on the 4K view and then pop up the resolution. Well, now you can actually see them. See that? That's the starfish cluster. And then I'll bring it back down. Oh, yeah. So we're going to go back to 10,000. Turn this off. And we'll get our exposure back here, 15 seconds. So now let's take a look and check out Messier 38. In the 1700s, Charles Messier, late 1600s and 1700s, Charles Messier put together a catalog of objects to avoid if you're a comet seeker. And that catalog of troublesome objects that Charles Messier put together turns out to be one of the most beautiful and most enjoyable catalogs of objects to go through and find. Because where he didn't want to see, we adore. And here's another red dwarf. There's another one right there. And there's another one possibly there that might be a K-type star. And this down here. So all the stars that are kind of orangey heading toward the red is fair game to be a potential red dwarf. You got to just sort of seek it out. We won't see a cluster of just red dwarfs. Okay? Red dwarfs might not be in a cluster of young stars because we would find that most of the stars in a cluster are the same type. So we would see that. All right, so
I would think Charles Messier, after a while, he must have figured out he was on to something. The objects he was writing down were more than just nuisances because they weren't comets.
Yeah.
I know, everybody was comet crazy back then.
That's right.
After Edmund Halley, the comet name for him returned and validated his prediction, and everybody went comet crazy. But
don't forget
there
Flammarion.
had to be some things that Charles Messier saw, like M45 Pleiades and M42 Orion Nebula, of course, that had to make a good impression on the guy.
Yeah. And don't forget Flammarion, what he did, too.
Yeah.
Flammarion kind of incited people to think they were going to die when the comet came through because he said that the gases of the comet contained cyanide and they were going to brush against the planet Earth. And, of course, cyanide is deadly to organic life forms because it bonds in the blood cells and removes the ability of the blood cell to absorb oxygen. But guess what? Nitrogen does the same thing. If you breathe pure nitrogen, obviously you're going to die. And, it's going to be the same type of death with cyanide,
Yeah. I think they were peddling comet pills back when Flammarion made that prediction, the 1910 apparition of Halley's Comet, I guess.
Yeah, he tried to downplay that, saying that he really wasn't trying to do that at all, if you recall. And, maybe he wasn't, but he got misquoted, and then he owns it now.
Yep.
He owns it all throughout history.
And, in fact, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote the Sherlock Holmes stories, he wrote one story about exactly that, that some poisonous gas in a cloud was going to kill everybody on Earth. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. Yep.
And Flammarion was the inspiration.
Yep. He was. Yeah, and let's see, it's stuck again. Don't know why it got stuck. I don't know why it does this. So it'll come back in a sec. So, okay, we did 38, we did 36, and we want to do 37, right?
If you want to.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to remember where we did 38 and come on.
36.
Yeah, I'm trying to come on now. Yes, I gotta just waiting here. All right, see, I don't know what's going on there. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's annoying as heck. All right, so we're just there. We're just at M38. We did M36 a couple minutes ago, right? And that was the pinwheel cluster, I believe. Okay, and we did M38, and now we got to do M37. Where's M37? is M37. Where is it? You remember where it is?
I can't see your screen very well, Mark.
Oh, okay.
I'm still kind of fuzzy, so.
Okay, well then let me.
I'm having trouble picking it out here.
Okay, then it's all right. Let me get out of here, and I don't remember where it was. I just couldn't find it. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this, and now let's just do a search. M37. There it is, M37. Oh, okay. The salt and pepper cluster. Okay, it's outside the actual confines of Auriga, although it's still in Auriga, because if we bring up the boundaries of the constellation, these little red lines here, you can actually see that Auriga is contained within here. All right, very good. So let's go check it out. I've got something else. We got other things we want to see too tonight, which are really cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. All right, off we go. Lots of stars here on the left. Okay, we don't see any. Yeah, just look for some. There we go. We got some stars coming into the view here. And then the telescope is moving into final position. You can actually see it adjusting. Yeah. And let's go here and check out. Okay. All right, 15 seconds at 10,000 on the salt and pepper cluster, measure 37. I'm showing you these clusters in the way that I saw them in my telescope as a kid when I searched these and found them. It was just so much fun. And when I looked at this cluster, I remember thinking, wow, is this actually a globular cluster? And of course it wasn't. But as always, one of the things I could never see back then, which is, because I actually didn't look for it, was the fact that you can see a number of these beautiful red dwarfs. Once again, we've got one here, we got one there, we got one there, we got a bright one there. It might be a K, okay? And then we have some stars in here and right in there. So maybe these are just superimposed. We'd have to check, Okay, gotta check them, okay? So, Daryl, you live in Colorado. Have you ever gone to South Park, Colorado, and just taken your picture in front of the sign?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Have you ever gone to South Park, Colorado, and taken your picture in front of the South Park sign?
I've been in South Park 1,000 times. I've never taken my picture in front of the sign, though.
Well, you're not a tourist, I guess.
Yeah.
I would just take my picture in front of the sign. Why not? Just to be funny. Coming down South Park, gonna have me a time. Friendly faces everywhere. Humble folks without temptation. It's good stuff.
Oh, there you go. No, South Park is a cool place. South Park is real, people. It's a high alpine valley here in the central mountains of Colorado. It's the headwaters of the South Platte River also. And it's very high altitude. Amazing light there. I have driven across South Park many times, summer, winter, daytime, nighttime. I've seen some pretty amazing things up there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Nice and dark? Is it dark sky?
Not as dark as it used to be. The light dome over Denver and Colorado Springs has gotten so bad that at least from the eastern side of South Park, I mean, it's blowing half the sky out now, which is really unfortunate. But if you get farther out into the center, or we're on the west side of the South Park Valley, yeah, you still have a dark sky.
Okay. Good night, Jim. Just want to say good night to Jim Smith. Thanks for dropping by. That's too bad, because I'm in search for a dark sky. If the desert didn't work out as it has. I had another plan, and that was to talk to the folks at Mount Lemmon to see if I could get backing to put a telescope up on Mount Lemmon, down in Tucson. Because Doug Trumbull, who's, of course, a famous special effects guy, good friend, worked on a lot of stuff with him. We're doing that Nikola Tesla movie now. Doug's on the board at Stewart Observatory. And he knows people at Mount Lemmon or has ideas about people I could talk to. So it was kind of a cool thought that maybe I could do that. But I actually have a place to put the telescope in the desert, readily available, and where I trade for altitude. I actually get back in accessibility. Even though it's in the middle of the desert, it's a straightforward drive. I can almost drive there myself now. I still have to be let in and let out by a lead car because the roads are non-existent. You're literally driving on desert. So you have to basically turn left at this cactus, turn right at that scrub bush. And when you get to that scrub pine, you know you've gone too far. I mean, things like that. Those are some of the directions you hear. So I think that's hilarious. Actually, I said scrub pine. There's no scrub pines out there. Cholla is what I was thinking about. The jumping cholla.
There you go.
Yeah, which is terrible. Jumping chollas are horrible.
We have cholla here.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Oh, Ronald. My gosh. Yes, of course. Ronald's saying we have a place for tents. Tents, Ronald? I have a place for RVs. Okay? This is going to be it's a 5-acre flat range that this is on. You know, the observatory is on 5 flat acres. This is where it's going. And they weren't flat acres before. They were covered with all kinds of chollas and other kinds of things. But this space where I'm going to has been completely cleared and fenced in. Not with snake fence, though. So if you're going to say you're going to pitch a tent, I would be careful because you probably want to have kind of an RV where you can actually be inside safely because, you might get scorpions and rattlesnakes that want to get warm. So they might not get in the tent, but they might cluster under the tent, and I don't think you'd like that, would you?
That reminds me of an old Gary Larson Far Side cartoon. Some guy's in a sleeping bag, sleeping out in the desert at night, and there's a scorpion sitting on his chest talking to him. And the scorpion says, "Say there, fellow, the other guys wanted me to come up and ask you to quit rolling around so much." And this guy's eyes are bugging out of his head looking at the scorpion.
Yeah, when I was out there, I actually took the ultraviolet light out. I had one that I brought out. The batteries died and I replaced them. It still doesn't work, so I don't know what's going on. I'll have to buy a new one. And I went hunting for scorpions. And so that was fun because I could actually see them from a mile away. Scorpions, the ultraviolet light will not only excite but cause their carapace, the hard shell, to fluoresce. And it fluoresces bright bluish green. You cannot miss it. If you aim your ultraviolet light toward a wall with logs on it, the scorpion will stand out and you'll see it from 35 feet away at least. And of course, what do? I just run right up and I start moving the logs around to get at them. And I take a stick and I try to pick them up and examine them. They're just the coolest little arachnids related to spiders. Very, very cool creatures. Okay. I'm now going to take us back to our... Let's see if I can... Okay, we're still live. So if I now bring up this, is it going to hang? This I'm trying to identify. Yes, okay. So it's Stellarium. I was just live. Now I brought up Stellarium, and it has a problem. So that means that it's an issue with the way Stellarium interfaces. Okay, that's good news. That means now that we have a solution that we can start working on. And maybe that solution is to change over to a different planetarium. Or maybe it could be as simple as rebooting the computer, which has not been booted in probably several weeks.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, look at your task manager. It sounds like something's really eating up your resources.
Yeah, well, it looks like a timeout situation where it tries something and can't get to it. I don't understand, but you know what? I know it's happened before. I know we've solved it before. Tonight, oh, it did it again just now. Look at that. That's funny. That's amazing. So it just did it again. Wow. Well, this isn't very professional, folks, is it? What can I tell you? But hey, you know what? Hey, Dee Dee. DDB is here. All right. Nice to see you. You know, it may not be very professional at times, but I can tell you this. It is the best deep sky stream on YouTube. You know? It's really cool. So, I don't know.
Has your Windows 10 updated lately?
Oh, I try not to let it update because it really ruins things.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it. Never mind, don't.
No, I'm not gonna.
Mine update had been pestering me for weeks.
Yeah.
And I finally let it update, and that thing took 5 hours to update and another 5 hours to install.
Yeah.
And then I promptly had to uninstall it again because it was slowing my computer down so much.
Of course. That's welcome to Microsoft. You know, it really stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really terrible. All right. I think now we might not. I might have had. There might have been too much time passage here, but I wanted to see if we can actually get to here. Let me start the telescope going. Move it over there, and then come back here. All right, telescope's moving now. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have an issue with the dome. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. It's the Orion Nebula, folks. Of course, why not? You know. And let's do a 4K view. I think we lucked out here. I don't think there's any dome in the way. Oh, a slight bit of dome. Oh boy. Yeah, see, this is all going away. That whole mess with the dome is going to be gone by the time it's in a roll-off roof observatory. Then we will not have to worry. All right. Well, Daryl, I'm going to run out and move the dome again, okay?
Okay.
All right. I shall be right back.
I will try to entertain the people until you come back.
Now, I'm not zooming here with Stellarium. I'm actually doing that here on the scope. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I was just answering that question, but I might not have answered it thoroughly. I'll be right back.
What was everybody's favorite dish at dinner today, Thanksgiving dinner? My turkey came out great. My gravy came out great. I make a mean green bean casserole. It came out great. I put bacon, mushrooms, and onions all sauteed together in mine. And instead of loading it down with cheese and stuff, I just put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in it. That really sets it off. It was an exceptional meal. Mashed potatoes and dressing too, of course. But I was really proud of the turkey, and I was proud of the gravy too. Yum yum. I haven't even touched the pie yet. Maybe after the show tonight. Charles, what is the space simulator that Mark has been using on cloudy nights? If not Stellarium, he has one I think called Space Engine. I think he's given cloudy night tours on that before. He'd take you around and fly around astronomical objects and, look at them at leisure. Hello, David Schmidt. Or David, didn't get any turkey. I have a pumpkin pie. Haven't even tried it yet. I need to do that.
What didn't you do?
Haven't had any pumpkin pie yet.
Oh.
I was gonna, but some guy called me up and wanted me to do an astronomy stream with him tonight. So
you know what? That's pretty inconsiderate on a holiday, don't you think?
I'll try some after the stream.
Yeah, sorry. 10,015 seconds on the Orion Nebula. But first, let's take a look inside. All right, let me bring that down here. Okay. Here's an ultra zoomed shot that I've generated here for you. This is how it looks, and I've taken a section of the screen and just done a digital zoom for you. You can see these 4 stars in the middle. This is the trapezium. These are the 4 hot stars that power this part of the nebula, part of this nebula at all. Hey, David Schmidt. Nice to see you here. And I think I forgot to say hi to Charles, too. Sorry, Charles. I didn't mean to ignore you. But this kind of gives you an idea what we can see. So let me just pop that off. And now let's do 15 seconds at 10,000 here. And check it out. The Orion Nebula is so beautiful. And, at some point, we're going to go back and compare all the shots of the Orion Nebula that we've taken to see if there's anything different. Because the nebula does change. Not very remarkably from what people can tell. But it has changed in the past. Look at this beautiful nebula.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, this is a little enhancement to kind of make it look a little prettier. I'm going to just go into this for a minute, and I'm gonna do an Amanda. I'm gonna make the colors pop a little bit, kind of pull them out a little more. She likes like this. She's like, oh, that's beautiful. No, that's not realistic. But that might be closer. That looks pretty cool. That's a little different from this, but, it's a little darker, So that's beautiful. And this is the part we call the bay. And you can see that it extends. This is a dark nebula which goes really all throughout this whole region. In fact, this entire area is bordered by this dark nebula which goes all the way down here and all around. This is like a blister on a dark nebula, basically. And dark nebula, what are those? Well, it's just molecules of dust that are out here in interstellar space. Really quite an interesting location. But something to keep in mind is that if we were to be on a planet that's in a star-formed region like this, the fact that the stars can illuminate and cause the hydrogen to glow around us means that it wouldn't be conducive to life for us if we went there. So we'd have to wait for the nebula to be have the hydrogen pushed away by the stellar winds. We'd have to wait for the stars to migrate away from each other. We'd have to wait for the planets to form, an atmosphere to form. I mean, it would take so much time, and that's good because the universe has time aplenty, Hey, Mario Lafreniere, how are you? And Daisy and Zoe, good to see you. Cindy Murphy, nice to see you. Thanks for coming by, guys. We're having a lot of fun here tonight. So there's a lot of things that these nebulae are beautiful, but there's a lot of reasons why we couldn't survive there. The temperatures are just too high. The ultraviolet radiation especially would sterilize anything that has life bearing capability in this region. But in the dark nebula, it's a different story. There's certainly hydrogen in here, but it's not glowing. And part of that reason is that the hydrogen is out of reach from the stars. You have to be close, reasonably close, within a couple light years to actually cause the gas to glow. And we don't see that, okay? So, it's pretty cool. I'm going to just come back here for a minute, and I'm going to move us back. I'm hoping that I don't have this issue again, but I'm going to pull us down this way and then go a little toward the west. Because the nebula is pretty big, as you saw. I want to fill this region with nebula, okay? That's what I want to do. And yes, my screen's a little bit off, okay? So we can fix that just like this, okay? All right, so let's see here. Actually, okay, and that should be over here. Yes, there we go. All right, so now let's do 20 seconds at 12,500, 800 to see what we can see for this structure down here. Because this structure in the Orion Nebula is just beautiful. So check it out. And we're going to be looking at it right now. And while we're waiting, I'm going to bring this up to see if it's going to be hung again. Oh, good. It's not. Yay. And we're going to look at a few other things here, too. We may go up and look at the Pleiades, too. I'm going to do a nice deep shot of the Pleiades as well.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. What do we got? There we go. That's pretty cool. Stars walked a little. I got to go back and fix that. So let's go back and do that. So bring up our little guy here. Move that over. Okay. Let's do it again. Do it again. Mm-hmm.
We should address your backlash sometime.
Yes. I would probably have to rebuild the drive, that part of the drive.
Oh, I don't know if you'd have to rebuild it.
Look at
maybe,
this.
clean the pinion and the worm and the pinion and the gear and lubricate it carefully and then reset the gear lash and probably be good to go for a long time. I know you drive your scope pretty hard, and I imagine, it's just loosened up some over time, but that's why they make it adjustable.
Well, I actually, you can pick the speed at which you want your telescope to move, folks, and, it's called a slew rate. And what I did there was I actually took the slew rate and I moved it to like less than half of what it used to be.
Uh-huh.
It used to crank and torque over really fast and move a lot, and it's like, no, I don't want that. I want it to go methodically and slowly, because I was actually putting another tube on there as well, another telescope. And I didn't want that to be cranking around because I didn't think the drive could handle that.
Uh-huh.
Look at this, huh? This is beautiful.
It is. That's nice. You see all the fainter, subtle stuff.
Yeah, you can. You can see some of the fainter stars in here. That's really pretty. Really, really like that. So if we were to come back now, let's do this. Let's jump up to another favorite location just north, which is right here. Hope I didn't go too far. All right, now we should be able to just take a picture here and check this out. 12,800 for 20 seconds.
A man running, I bet.
Oh, you are such a killjoy. Not at all.
Oh,
Yes.
just a guess.
Yeah. Just north of the Orion Nebula is another nebula. And I went too far. I knew I went too far. I should have just followed my instincts. Because it's down here. Let me just bring it back. Come back, little doggy. There we go. Right here is a beautiful nebula that is, as Daryl had said, is called the Running Man Nebula. And I'm going to do something wacky. I'm going to go up to a really high value. I'm going to go to 51,200 for this nebula. 20 seconds. And it's going to be really high. But I want to try and see... thanks, James. He said that there's a lot of detail and stuff, yeah. And this is all in Orion DD, which I can show you if I dare to bring this up. All right, I brought it up. Okay, and it's not hung. Good. So here's Orion DD right here. All right, Orion the Hunter, and you can see some of the mythological character here. You can see him slaying the beast. He got his club right up there. And so when we look at Orion, we see the bright red star Betelgeuse at the top left. We see Bellatrix to the right. Then the belt of three, which is made of Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Three middle stars there, Didi. And then down below is what we're looking at right here. We're looking at the Orion Nebula and this guy right here, the Running Man Nebula. So let's go check out what the Running Man Nebula looks like right now. Okay, well, we actually went pretty deep in this, and it actually ended up washing out a lot of detail. But you can actually see a little more here. If I were to operate on this a little bit like a surgeon, let's see if we can do anything in particular here. Go in here. Go in here. Oh yeah. See that kind of
yeah, that looks nice.
gives us a little help now. Maybe if I shift the colors a little, maybe like that. Yeah, I mean, but you can actually see some of the dark lanes. And when we look at these, in a stacked manner where we stack all of them together, okay, we see a lot of other detail. Like you can actually see a little hint of pink in here. That's because there is some emission nebula that's mixed in with this reflection or scattering type nebula that we're seeing here. And it's really cool, you know. Hey, JG Marley. So that's with some processing, and that's the raw image. So I like to kind of just do a little bit of both so you can kind of see the difference. So really cool. So obviously that was too much. So we're going to drop that down. We can try 25,600. And I'll take one of those. And let's see if our... Okay, good. So we got this. Now, I'm going to take us to another thing here shortly. Another spot, which is really kind of cool. And that'll be right here. To one of those belt stars. Oh, you're welcome, Dee Dee. I like to respond. If you got questions, I'd love to answer them. So now let's go check out what it looks like when it's just a little bit less of an exposure. Okay, so we got that, and oh, look at that. Maybe a little too much on that one filter. I can drop the filter. Actually, there's something else we could do, which I haven't done at all. All right, there you go. What do you think of that? That's pretty good, huh? So the raw image and a little bit of the process looks good, huh? So,
that's nice.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna do another thing that we haven't done. Okay. I am bringing this up in a special editor that we have available here, and I can check it out and see what we got here. Let's see. Can we do anything here with our hue? Yeah, the hue goes the expected directions. Yeah. Okay, so let me get to there. Okay. And the saturation would take us to the same places we expect to go. See how the noise is accelerated. Okay. So, okay, so that's that. And now let's go to a tone curve. Let's play with this for a bit. Alright, so okay, that's pretty interesting. It's doing some interesting things. I want to actually show you what I'm seeing, so I'm going to do this. And let's try some noise reduction. Say manual reduction. Let's see what we can get. Okay, well, see that looks pretty good with noise reduction, huh?
Sure.
Color noise reduction. I'm gonna take that out too. See how that looks? Not bad, not bad. And if we do some additional processing, you can see that actually looks pretty good. You know, that's for a one shot. That's not bad.
Yeah.
And we can also do some sharpening too, which is kind of interesting. If we go way up, I mean, then of course we can do this, and there's a number of ways we can go here. Yeah. So it helps, it helps give us a deeper view of the nebula. You can see it. Okay. And we can also do this, which is interesting. This is called the D range. We can monitor this and modify it and see how it shows. So let's do manual amount. Let's see what we get. This can be pretty cool. It can show us some additional detail that we might miss. I know these look the same to you for the most part, but you know what? You can see changes if I were to go in the opposite directions on some of these sliders, which you can barely read, I'm sure, over there. So I'm sorry about that. But it's so that's like that. That's not bad. Let's go all the way to the other side and see how that looks. Now we're going to get darker shadows. Okay. And as you see, it's more rough looking. That's the problem. Okay, we want to smooth out the shadows a little bit. Like this. And we want to add to the highlights. If I didn't have the highlights up, then you may or may not see this difference. But it does have a slightly muddy look, but when I bring up the highlights, you'll see that things get a little bit brighter. Hard to see it directly, but you can really see that these are brighter. Okay, you see this really interesting little mountain of dark nebula. This is a dark dust nebula. There is no dark gas. There's no such thing as a dark gas. If you think about it, bromium is like brown, and I've seen bromium gas, okay, but it's actually particles, you know. More like a vapor with particles. This is pretty. This looks good. Yes, sir. Okay, let's try a few things. Okay, this is how you correct for what's called vignetting. All right, so we bring this back and it'll come back to what it was, where it belongs. Well, that's pretty cool. You know, that's pretty cool. So neat. And then of course here you can see the result of our work. You can see, isn't that gorgeous? It looks pretty, doesn't it?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, really cool. So now let's go back to our view here, and bring up our control. Bring up Stellarium, and we're still active, which is good. And what I'd like to do is take us to this nebula right here. This is called the Flame Nebula. Der Flammen Nebula. Alright, and we will see that the telescope moves in. This star, this is the leftmost star in the belt. This is called Alnitak. And Alnitak, as Daryl told you last time, is responsible for the glow in this flame nebula. Alright, so let's actually do a 20-second shot of this here and find out if we can capture this nebula looking really pretty tonight. I think we can. So 20 seconds at 25,600. Here we go. I was reading chat. There we go. Look at the flame. Holy cow, huh? That's pretty.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's actually looking pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to come in here and go back to my default settings here for this and try to arrange a slightly better view. Slightly better view. Wow, nice. Okay, let's see if we can. Okay, this is good. That's nice. That'll do. A little different, not too much. I was reading in the chat, and James Dugan said they pee all over you if you hold them, Father John. And I'm like, okay, what are we talking about now? That sounds strange. So if someone can tell me what that is, that'd be kind of cool. I just want to know. I'm curious. Did you see, Daryl? Do you know what they were talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Let me go back and look.
John Osteen says, that doesn't sound cute at all. It's like, yeah, well, what are they talking about?
I would wonder if they're talking about koalas or something. Do koalas pee on you if you hold them, James?
I don't know this answer, so I have to wait for him, yeah.
Is Alnitak a double star? I'm looking at the image on the YouTube page now. Or is that just a line of sight star just above Alnitak?
This one here? Image? Well, if we look at Alnitak here, okay, and we select it, okay, it is a double star. But as far as the actual component, its component that's a double with it, that's, let me see.
Spectroscopic binary, so close together we can't see it?
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about, is it's probably a spectroscopic. But I want to find out if this tells us. It'd be cool. Yeah, it doesn't tell us that. Oh wait, separation. Here we go. 2.36 arc seconds. Position angle 167. Okay, what that means, folks, is there's an angle. If you think of a compass rose, a compass you put on over the face of every star, there's a position angle of 160. All right, and that means that at 160 degrees, and I don't know if it starts from the top or from the side. I would think it starts from 0 being here, and then so it goes around to 160. So the position angle would be 160 or about here, if that's true. And 2 arc seconds separation. What's an arc second? Well, if you look at these lines, now these lines are a certain distance apart, and I can't see. It changes as you zoom in, so I'm trying to see the writing. But basically, if you think about it, there's 360 degrees in a circle, so the entire sphere, all the way around, is 360 degrees. Okay. And if you divide that by the number of degrees that you have, say 360 degrees divided by, say, 24 hours, that tells you how many degrees pass through in an hour. Okay. And
15.
Right. And then if you have those number of degrees passing through in an hour, okay, 1 degree is 60 minutes of arc. Why arc? Because we're looking at curved lines when we look in space. We're thinking about it as going around in a curve. And if you took the equator of the Earth and you extended it way out into space, every little distance that you go is actually going to be a slight arc to make up the big circle going around the Earth. Okay? So there's 60 minutes in a degree, and then there's 60 seconds in a minute. And so the arc seconds, you put the word arc in front of them because it's a circular shape. Okay, so this is separated by 2 arc seconds. That is, if you measure it against the sky, we're measuring the separation between the stars in the Alnitak system as 2.36 arc seconds. So it's a very really small amount. Okay, much smaller than what we see here on the screen. By some distance. So this is not 2 seconds of arc. This is not up here. There was actually a tool. I'm trying to remember where I can get I have a measurement tool. There's a measurement tool here, and I can't remember what it was that I could use. Is it Control A? No. Sensors, telescopes. Okay, I'm trying to find it because it might be over here. It's worth talking about. It's under plugins. Let's find out where it is. Plugins.
I didn't mean to distract you, Mark.
No, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Not field of view, not actual planets. Angle measure. Here it is. Duh. Okay. And okay, so this is loaded. I just have to figure out how to load it. Let's look up configure. And does it tell me how to start it? Okay, it doesn't show me how to start it up. Maybe. Okay, here, this will tell us. Won't you? I'm just trying to figure it out, folks. Just trying to be able to show you a few things which are kind of cool.
David Schmidt has a question of you.
Okay.
Says, may he have your permission to post something important?
Please do. David Schmidt, you don't have to ask. You can go right ahead. I'm looking for a way to use this. Okay, it's not readily apparent, so. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I know that it works because I've actually used it. Angle measure, man. Oh, it's not M, right? Oh, wait. Yes, it is. Okay, thanks. I just figured it out. M is angle measure. So if you actually start looking, okay, this distance in the sky, all right, this is what I was trying to show you. This is 15.26 arc seconds. And okay, if we zoom out a bit and we start doing this, okay. Now you can see, let me do it in a black area here. So here we are. So now, if we do this, okay, this is 1 degree, 27 minutes, 24 arc seconds. So if we come down, okay, this really, really tiny thing. Let's go right in here. Let's go to Alnatak here and say from here out. Okay, this is already out here. We're looking at, I can't even read that. Looks like yeah, that was 5 minutes. So we're actually, it's like we're talking about a really small amount. Let me just zoom in even more. All right. See, so that's, you notice this? This is 12.3 arc seconds. See the size of Alnatak here?
Yes.
This to here, that's 19.85 arc seconds. And it's 2 arc seconds, so it literally is that size right there. So that means that to see that in this view is impossible. It's a spectroscopic binary, like you suggested, which means that it's only visible in a spectroscope where you can see the pollution of Alnatak's spectrum as caused by the second companion that might be going in front of it relative to us. And that would pollute its spectrum with something else, and that's the something else that we could catch. So there you go, and that's pretty cool. So this is the Flame Nebula that's right next to Alnatak. This star is not a double star of Alnatak. Alnatak's double is within this glare by far. But this is really pretty. I really like it. You know? So let's go.
That looks nice.
It does. It has a really pretty look to this set of eyes here. So now let's go and let's go south a little bit, and we go by this particular star. Don't forget that star right there. It's a very important star. And then we're going to go this way a little bit. And there we are. Okay, this is Daryl's favorite star down here. It's called Sigma Orionis. And we're going to bring it up a little bit. And the reason it's here is because there's something here that I want to show you that you are probably undoubtedly aware of, folks. I'm going to bring us up to 40,000 ISO for 20 seconds because this is probably the best the best settings to show this thing. All right, and Daryl knows what we're looking for. It's going to be right about here. And Sigma Orionis, this star system right here, is responsible for illuminating the hydrogen gas several light years away over here. And when I say illuminate, I mean cause to glow. And that glow is what causes it to, that glow is what causes it to look red to our eyes. Right? And here you see, there's an object here. And notice also something else I mentioned to you. I said, don't forget this star over here. And you can see that this star does have this cloud around it. Okay? There's Sigma Orionis. There's the subtle red glow that I told you about. And that subtle red glow is silhouetting this shape. This is the infamous and famous Horsehead Nebula. Really cool. So, James, what did he want to, well, no, David Schmidt wanted to put up something. David, did you put up something important? I missed it if it was.
He tried to post a link, I believe, and because he doesn't have moderator privileges, it wouldn't show.
Well, you're a moderator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when he tried to post a link, you could have.
I didn't see anything either, though.
Okay, David, did you show us anything? Did you put up a link for us to see? I don't remember. Holy cow! 2 hours 46 minutes. Jeez. The cloud is red, Ronald, because it's hydrogen gas, and the hydrogen gas is being caused to glow by the hot ultraviolet from this star right here. This is a very hot star, hot young star, and hydrogen is a simple atom. It has one proton in the center in the nucleus, and one electron orbiting. The electron is a negative charge. The proton's a positive charge, if you go back to your high school chemistry. And when ultraviolet energy strikes an electron in an atom, the electron gains energy from that high energy radiation. And what they do in the atom is they rise to a higher level, a higher orbit in the atom. All right? And if you give them enough energy, then they can rise so high that they are no longer bound to the atom. They go far away from the proton in the hydrogen gas. And that's what we call ionization, when an electron is bounced off the atom because it absorbs so much energy. Now, when an electron is all alone, it doesn't want to be all alone. It's a negative charge. The proton's positive, and positive charges attract negative charges. So the proton wants to come back into the atom. Well, when it's out there, it's also in collision with other objects out there, outside the atom, and this causes it to lose a little energy. But then when it comes back toward the proton and bounces back into the atom, it drops to a particular energy level called the n equals 2, numeral 2 state. And the n equals 2 state is the source of a particular set of transitions, they're called, where when the electron drops down in there from outside the atom after being ionized off the atom, it gives off a particular color of light as it drops into this n equals 2 state. And in this case, that particular color is red. And that's what we see. We call that hydrogen alpha. And it is a very well-known transition of a hydrogen atom. It's a hydrogen alpha in the Balmer series. There's a Lyman series of hydrogen, which are different transitions. And when an electron gets bounced off an atom, and this applies to any atom, no matter how many electrons are being ionized off the atom, when they bounce into an atom, they bounce to a whole bunch of different places first. They can bounce to all kinds of places and then end up at a certain one predominantly. And with hydrogen, especially this particular energy level, hydrogen will usually end up having a electron bounce to its n equals 2 level and overall. So yes, it can bounce to other levels, but n equals 2 is the predominant one. So that's what we see. We see this predominant red glow that's a well-known hydrogen ionization and then what we call recombination color when the electron comes back into the atom in order to fit back into the atom, it has to give up some energy. And when it does, that energy is in the red end of the spectrum, and thus we see a glow. So I hope that's pretty clear. John Ostains, you don't want to hear the astronomy, John? That's pretty funny. So, anyway, so that's the horse head.
You know something that would be interesting to look at in or very near Orion sometime? Its image scale is so great you couldn't catch it in a telescope, though. I don't even know if your 5-inch would catch it.
The
Maybe
loop?
it would.
The loop?
The Witch's Head.
Oh, yeah. Barnard's Loop, that's another one, yeah.
Yeah, the Witch's Head is right next to Rigel.
Yeah. Hi, Bobby Burgess.
Looks just like the Wizard from Oz. The Witch from the Wizard of Oz. The Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. That's true. All right, well, let's do this.
It's faint. I'm sure you'd take a time exposure to be able to see it at all.
Oh, yeah. Indeed. Okay, now we're getting a request here from our friend and yours, Mr. Ostains. He would like us to he'd like us to go to the Pleiades. So would you like that, John? I think maybe I'll head to the Pleiades, but beware, I might say something educational there too, though, so that could be a problem. That's all right. Let's see if we can do this. Yeah. Okay, so the measure tool is off now, right? Oh, it's not. How do you turn it off now? All right, well, now I don't know how to turn this darn thing off. Ay.
Oh, your angle measure again?
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be off, and I thought oh, that's not that. That was something else. Maybe it was this, and I just didn't realize it. It is it. Okay, I've got it figured out. Okay. Never mind. Okay, so. Okay, now this object is for John Ostains because he wants this in the worst way. Oh, let's go see here. There's the Pleiades, and let's go and witness the majesty of the Pleiades, right? I think we will. Yes, we can. So here we go. And you'll see the stars zipping by, and then you'll see the Pleiades pull in here. Hopefully, we have the ability to see these without a problem. I think we do. Telescope, you can see, is pointing where it needs to be. That's good. And we have Pleiades. All right, so let's go here and knock this down. We don't need to do much here. Okay, and now these the stars within the Pleiades are pretty straightforward. Okay, we have Atlas, we have Pleione, we have Merope. Wait, let me bring us up a little. We have Merope. Oh, you still can't see it. There we go. We have Merope. We have, let me go back here just to make sure we get these right. So we have Atlas, we have Pleione, we have Merope, which is down here, and then we have Electra, Seleno, and I think this is Maya, and Taygeta. So we have, those are over here. So Maya has a nebula around it right about here, which is beautiful. And Merope has this beautiful nebula around it here. They all have nebula. And the reason that they're here at all with nebula is because of the fact that they're passing through this area of space where there is actually this dust. It's this micron-sized dust. But the dust is actually like little spindles, actually. That was one of the findings for the dust. There was a kind of a spindly nature. And the dust is something that scatters the blue light from these hot, young blue stars. The Pleiades formed all together. They're all B stars. So OBAFGKM, hottest and brightest and bluest, to coolest and reddest. The B stars are right up near the top. So these stars die by becoming supernovae. So these will all go supernovae someday. Man, this area is going to be an amazing sight to see at some point in the future. I just wish we could see it, So let me just pull us over here, and then we're going to do a nice deep shot of the Pleiades and put them all in here. All right, so we have all the Pleiades that are of any consequence right now, and we'll do 20 seconds at 40,000. Are you ready for this? Good.
I am.
Awesome, here we go.
I think I've asked before, Mark. I know the Pleiades are passing through that dust cloud in Taurus.
Yeah.
And the blue light is the scattering from the light of the Pleiades stars.
Yeah.
The combed appearance of those particular nebulas that you mentioned around a
right
couple
here.
of the stars.
Yeah.
Is that combed appearance, is that just the cloud, or is that something from the star, magnetic fields or something, making it, giving it that combed look?
No, I don't believe so. I believe that this look here is just the nature of the dust in this region. They're like large three-dimensional sheets of dust, which you can see beautifully here. Actually, it came out gorgeous. And you can see the Maya Nebula up here as it's right around the star here. That's beautiful. And the Merope Combed Nebula here. These stars are all embedded in this. They're passing through all of this. But man, this is a really pretty shot. So I want to go back and take another shot. And 40,000 is pretty high, but you know what? I can fix that. And while we're waiting, let's make sure that we're still live here, and we are. Okay, so that's really pretty. Yeah. So the thing about the star here, I want to mention Pleione. Oh no, Alcyone. What am I saying? Alcyone is a star. I said Pleione. My apologies. But Pleione is this star right over here. Let me show you. You can't see it on this view. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, it's just off the screen here. Pleione is a star that's right above Atlas here, and this star is it's spinning so rapidly that it's actually oblate, and it's a finding that was pretty interesting. And so that means that when it formed, it had a lot of angular momentum, that is turning spinning force, that it had a lot of high rate of speed. Pretty cool. Let me get us now to this and see where we got. Yeah.
Sort of similar to how Jupiter is oblate due to its rapid rotation on its polar axis, I guess.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, this is Pleione right here. Okay, this is Atlas and Pleione, and this is Alcyone. Okay, and then we have Merope down here. We have Electra, Seleno, and Maya. Okay, Taygeta is out there. But we're focusing on this nebula and this nebula right here. Really, really pretty. But there's the Pleiades. That's what you look up and see when you look up and see that what looks like a very little dipper, right? That's what you see. Now, in the 5-inch refractor, these stars are all in the range of about like this. And when it's smaller, you can actually see a lot of the detail a little bit cleaner. Maybe what we should do is just go back and take a little trip north. Not far. We won't see the Maya Nebula, but let's the Merope Nebula. But let's just see what's up here for this stuff, okay? And let's just pull us in more. Atlas and Pleione will be off. Well, let's go and see what we get.
My 5-inch refractor at low power shows the entirety of the Pleiades beautifully.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
You can see some of the nebulosity also.
Cool.
Dust clouds, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Now here, okay, because a lot of the light pollution light that we see here is in the blue end of the spectrum. So blue nebulae are going to be far more enhanced when we are out in Arizona. I mean, really far better. Yeah. Okay, so there you see the Maya Nebula right there. Yeah. This is Seleno, and this is Taygeta. But there's a lot of stars that formed in this region. But you can see some field stars here and here. Okay, these stars are M stars, as this one may be down here. And so those stars are field stars. They're not in the region of the Pleiades, not outward the Pleiades. Has nothing to do with size. The size of an image on a sensor is literally only related to the brightness of the object, not how close or how far. Because stars, no matter how far away they are, other than the sun, every star is ever just, in a telescope, a little tiny point. It's a point of light. It's not an extended source. That is to say, something that has a diameter you can see. Now, that said, yes, there are some stars that with special equipment, we are able to deduce the size of the star and see it. Betelgeuse in Orion is one such star where we can actually see the actual size of Betelgeuse. And one thing we found is that Betelgeuse, being a supergiant or supergiant red star, really has some weird bumps on it in various spots. So the star has these they're like welts basically on its overall size, and they're not welts per se, but they're areas of convection where gases are coming up and bubbling to the surface and pushing the star material out further. So red supergiants like Betelgeuse, they don't have a spherical shape. They have a very strange shape. They look like
cauliflower.
Yeah, that's true. They kind of look like a cauliflower. Yeah, which is really weird. Yeah.
Sorry, it's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah. So David posted a link in the chat, and I'm just wonder what it was. Okay. All right. So it's a near drowning in a tragic accident at home. Miraculously revived after having no heartbeat for 18 minutes, and he has been in intensive care in Bangkok ever since. It's a freak accident, and it is the stuff of nightmares, especially for his poor parents. Poor kid. Basically, he's a little boy who nearly drowned, and there is a GoFundMe. They've actually raised $27,455 out of 50,000. Was that euros? That's incredible. you know. That's very nice.
That's one of those things you would wonder. I mean, if it happened in a tropical place like Thailand, you know, I guess the water was warm. I've heard stories of people near drowning in frigid waters, and it seems to almost put them in stasis, you know,
That's right.
they seem to have better luck bringing people back from cold water.
Yeah, well,
cases like that.
People don't, you know, the human body reacts to cold very differently. It tends to shut down and preserve, you know. So in cold water, it would, you know. In warm water, however, no such luck.
Well, bless his heart.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know, I think that that's a really good cause. So if you guys feel you want to contribute to that, please do. I don't have any problem with that. Why would I? It's a beautiful thing. David Schmidt, thank you for putting it here. If I was a parent of that little boy, I'd be beside myself for sure. Actually, beside my kid in the intensive care for forever until he wakes up, until he comes home. So you have to tear me away. So clearly, some things transcend what we do here at SkyTour LiveStream, and that's one of them. But this is the last object for tonight. I just think that it's a good way to end the stream tonight. And if you get a chance to go look at Dave Schmidt's GoFundMe, that link that was put in, please go there. And if you have the ability to give a little bit to that little boy to get him the medical attention he needs, then I would say please do it. I'm gonna go look at it again right after this. So I do want to thank you, and while it's fresh in your mind, please visit David Schmidt's link to see that GoFundMe, okay? I think it's kind of important. And actually, I think that's the reason I'm ending now, is just so we can keep that fresh in our minds and not forget about it. All right? So you guys have a good evening, and you enjoy yourselves. I'll be back. Why don't you make this Thanksgiving a good Thanksgiving for that family?
And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Indeed.
Thank you for coming tonight. Mark, thank you for having me on.
Of course, that's fine, Daryl. So, folks, we'll be back again. If it's clear tomorrow, I'll be right here. Just a little update on the observatory. I did get the startup automation software done, and tonight was the first night the telescope has been run and started up completely remotely. Normally I'd go out there and start up the telescope by pushing the switch. Well, now I put a smart relay into the dome, and it's sitting there with a circuit that I can turn on and off from here. So I'm going to do everything to the telescope when I quit tonight right from here. I'll be shutting it off. You know what? I'm wondering, is there any reason I can't show that to you? I might be able to show that to you. Let me think about this. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going back to the main view, and I'm bringing up this guy here and this guy here. Okay, let's do this. Why not? Okay, you'll see it. You're gonna see what the telescope's gonna do. You're gonna actually watch the telescope shut down, and I will actually shut the telescope down directly. Okay, here we go. So now that we're done, all right, I'm going to shut down my telescope. I'm going to shut down the application that's actually looking at the telescope. I'm going to shut down Stellarium. I'm going to quit and shut down the connection to the telescope like this, and now the telescope is disconnected and shut down, and then this guy is going to get shut down as well. No, I can't shut him down. I gotta actually use him. Haha. Okay. Now I'm gonna do something called park the scope. I hit park here and watch the scope. Okay, and now you look at the scope, it's moving. The scope is now moving into a storage position. Okay, and when it's done moving to the storage position, then I can actually shut it off. All right, because right now the telescope, all right, so now the telescope is in the parked position. And what I can do now is I can go into my Arduino program I've written and shut off the telescope. And to do that, okay, you see the light here on the pier. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the shutdown code. All right, and now that light should go off. You ready? And we're off. Telescope is shut down.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So now what I do is I can now go out there and I can now just close the dome. What I would do now, if this was a roll-off roof, I wouldn't even have to move. All I would do is go back into my program here and enter another code, and the roof would roll back on, and the telescope being moved out of the way. So you can see now, for those of you that have followed SkyTour LiveStream and everything that we've done over the last couple of years, you remember when I was out in the dome in the frigid cold doing all this, and I'd be chattering, my teeth would be chattering, and well, now I don't have to anymore, and we get views like this, so it's just beautiful. So yeah, Ronald's right. Yeah, remember when you had to do all that outside? Exactly. And the other thing is, in cold weather, this little hand controller here doesn't like to work, and so you got to hit things multiple times. Well, now I don't have to. I can just actually do all these things from inside, and just as easily from 2,700 miles away. Yeah. So thanks, guys. I wanted to show you the shutdown process. I thought that was pretty cool. So now all you have to do is go close the dome. Everything else is done. So thanks again for coming. I leave you with the Running Man Nebula that we did here and processed a little bit. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving, as I know I will. So from now on, I'll probably not show you the shutdown process, because that's, if you want to see it, that's fine. So I will talk to you later. And Daryl, thanks again for being here. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So
good night, everybody.
Good night, folks, and we'll see you in the next clear night. Don't forget, keep looking up. you.